Welcome everybody to the Jim Lemmy show. No, it's still the Shadow. It's still the Shadowchat. I'm new here. I got to pronounce it correctly. Welcome to the Saturday night sci-fi Shadowchat. Doomsday devices and super weapons. That is the subject for today. I can
Brought to you
only
by
assume that
Owen
we
Al.
are
Thank you,
going
sir.
to be. This is going to be a splendid and organized event, with only the most amount of dedication to the topic.
That's right, folks. Like I said just a second ago, this was Omen's idea, so I modified it just a little to include the Doomsday weapons because I'm actually reading up on some good old fashioned top secret. And I think I got some ideas for tonight, but more than likely I'll just be winging it. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
So
Good.
far, so good.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Everybody ready for tomorrow's festivities?
You mean sleeping and just ignoring the fact that I'm gonna have to?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I think I have enough hooch for the night.
Okay. Cool. I won't be doing any drinking, but Jackie will be doing all the drinking for me.
That's correct.
100% lemonade or the.
Lemonade's pretty good.
I know that's the problem. People go like, oh, alcohol lemon. I can get stuff that's cheap that tastes better, but it's not alcohol.
Real. True.
So, anybody got anything new going on before we jump into talking about blowing shit up?
I mean, I guess we do.
Well, out with it, monkey.
I forgot.
Jim? You forgot? Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about it later. I
I mean,
finished
I
off.
didn't forget. Do you actually want me to talk about it now?
Sure. Well, if you want, or I mean, we're still going to do the video later.
Nah, I mean, you guys know. Do you?
No,
Oh.
no, we don't.
I thought
So,
Shadow told you about it.
Feel free, enlighten us. What do you do?
Okay. There's a new show on the channel. I'd be in character, but I'm too lazy to do that right now.
Little guy's going to host a show on Monday nights talking about various things that are
Stuff
less
and
game
things
related.
specifically.
Right. Stuff and things. A little bit less game
Very
related, more.
specifically stuff and things.
Right.
What subject matter or area? Jim,
Like for yes, Jim. For tomorrow, not tomorrow. For Monday or
just
in
like I mean
general?
in general. I mean, are you talking about weird supernatural stuff of the universe? You talking about sciencey things, political things, historical things?
It's going to be very specifically non-political, maybe historical, but I don't know.
Like maybe
I'm gonna try to
redo Leonard Nimoy's In Search of? Or...
no, not I'm gonna try to make it as unpolitical as possible. It's not going to be, at least I don't think, about anything historic. Maybe, really,
Well,
just things.
That is so vague. If you're gonna do
No,
a
that's
show,
the thing. The whole point is that it's kind of vague. There's not a specific category. It's not going to be game related. It's not going to be political. I guess
what are you
the
gonna
best
talk
way
about,
I would
like
put it, that
colors or something?
no.
As of right now, I'm
Unorthodox
gonna skip
media.
it, man, because I don't know what the hell it is.
Unorthodox media is the greatest. Is the best way I can put it. Be it shows from the internet or different things that I have found that I like to talk about.
Mostly, I'm guessing YouTube related things.
Most of the time, yeah. I doubt it'll be a weekly show because I actually need to find stuff and I don't just want to talk about the exact same kind of thing over and over again. But definitely nothing that you would find on any of these other shows that we do. not game related, not political, maybe historical, perhaps either a more traditional movie or show that I just think needs to be talked about, or a more non-traditional and unorthodox production that exists somewhere online.
Oh, so you're going to become one of those YouTube reaction stars?
No, not reaction, because reaction would require actually watching it on the live stream, which I think is not the best. I mean, I don't hate it. I just don't find it interesting.
So you're doing op-eds?
He
I
does.
guess.
He's not. Well, we'll find out.
Just trying to give the audience an idea.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to blow shit up, huh?
Yes.
No. We're not blowing anything.
Yes, we are.
We're just saying how to
Metaphorically
blow stuff.
speaking.
Metaphorically
We're just saying how to
speaking,
blow
in
stuff up.
Minecraft,
It has
we're
nothing
going
to do with the fact we're actually blowing anything up.
Yeah, calm down,
Sounds like an Adult
YouTube.
Swim
We're
show
not
to me.
really going to blow things up.
No,
Yes,
no. We are talking hypothetical game related,
in Minecraft.
big super weapons, doomsday devices. The Guns of Navarone sort of
Weapons of mass
Death
destruction.
Star. Yeah.
Death Star, or the reboot, the multiple
Oh,
Death Star,
please
multi-laser.
don't. That was so
whatever.
lame. Oh, that was so lame.
That was very lame.
Hey, wait a minute. I thought
It's
there
the
were
Death
only
Star,
3
but
movies that came
multiple.
out.
Well, yeah, no, it just I don't know why Disney gave so much money to that fan fiction. It was really bad.
No. You're forgetting the wrong thing, which is George Lucas walked away with $4 billion only to watch them completely devalue it so he can buy it back at a fraction of the cost at some point.
He's not gonna buy it back.
He'd be a fool not to.
Why would he?
No, he's
I don't
what,
think they're gonna
70
sell
He
it to
could
him.
something
he
years
could
old.
fix the next 3
Yeah.
movies and
He-
retire a trillionaire probably.
Nah, he's 70 something years old. He has nothing else to prove. All he cared
Yeah.
about with the prequels was showing off and what ILM could do, because obviously he didn't care about story.
Okay, no, this is slander right here. The prequels were some of the greatest pieces of art ever produced.
Yeah, right up there with your 4-year-old drawings of a house with your
Welcome to
Okay,
Brian.
they-
How you doing, buddy?
Okay,
You're
Yeah.
young.
where is
How
this
old are
coming
you? You're
from?
like 15. You'll learn, dude.
On the
Hey,
same level
shine.
as Teletubbies the movie.
yeah.
Okay. So now I'm the crazy one here for thinking that the prequels are just can't win here, can I?
You won't
No.
ever win.
No,
on
you're
that.
not going to win because you got to have like something that has more to do than Jar Jar and the hokey acting.
It has more than Jar.
So-
Jar Jar was in the first one, and that's it.
Here's
He's in
my
the second.
opinion, and
He was in
I'm
the
old,
second one for like 10 seconds.
and
Effective.
I watched the first movie in the drive-in live. I was
saw it
alive
too,
when it
man. I
happened.
saw it in the
So
theater too.
So here's
what's
my
this thing
opinion,
called a
Jackie.
drive-in?
The first
what is
3
this?
movies
Well,
were
let Matt
awesome.
go.
and Kanan mostly. The
Well,
next 3 movies were good only in as far as it explained a little bit of the backstory, and you got to admit Ewan was a damn good Ben Kenobi. He saved those movies. Well,
They're all
and
fucking
Neeson.
silly. They're all
Yes, they
silly.
are. But
All
if those 2 actors hadn't been in it, it would have been trash. They probably never would have made the second one. That's the only redeeming quality. The third we will not mention because they did not exist. They're garbage.
Oh yeah, those movies, they never.
and that's
happened.
pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know what Lucas was thinking when he made the Gungans. I mean, maybe he was doing
it was
shrooms.
purely to show off
How much?
ILM so he could get other jobs for other movies. That's the whole reason the prequels
But he
exist.
could have made less
He needed
dorky
that.
aliens than Gungans.
Jar Jar.
Could he though? Could he have made less?
I mean, he
made
I
the
thought he hit
Ewoks.
rock bottom with the Ewoks, to be honest. And
It's
then he
just-
made
Why were we
Gungans, and I just don't understand.
The Gungans are just taking the Ewoks to their natural conclusion. Not in biology, of course, but in the
Hey.
attitude.
I was more concerned in the fact that droids were pretty worthless too. I mean, the movies were just bad. That's why
They
I
were
only
not bad
recognized
movies.
that's why I only recognized the original 3 and that's it.
And you know, you got to put it in the context too. We're all like fucking kids watching it, so it was amazing.
No.
But as you grow older,
I go
you're like,
back and
shit.
we watch old films. You compare them to nowadays. You compare them to the prequels. They were far superior.
Yeah, but I mean, on some level, Brian is right. We've got that nostalgia thing going for
I
it.
don't have
Oh,
the
hell
And
nostalgia
it makes
thing
it more
going.
magical because, you know, that's our childhood.
You guys have the nostalgia crap. I don't have as much with
Oh,
it.
yes,
You
you
really,
do. You know you do.
All of us
sincerely
do.
enjoy. Like these are great films.
Yeah.
If you've
There's
ever
nothing
read
nostalgic.
any of the ancient literature for Greek mythology
Dude,
and stuff,
I'm not
it
talking
follows the
about ancient
typical-
literature.
it
I'm
follows
talking
the
about
typical-
Star Wars.
We're
Dude.
not talking about the ancient classics of Greek mythology. We're talking about Star Wars. Okay.
Now, if you read them when you were a child, you might have nostalgia.
I
don't
actually
have to-
did. As a matter of fact, I read Empire Strikes Back, the novel.
Yeah, I had the
about-
movie adaptations for the first
about
three.
about 2 weeks before I could actually see the movie, and I was devastated.
Oh,
I was just like, no,
dude,
you can't be your father. No.
you learned a valuable lesson.
Tore up.
Well, see, I have to
tore up.
laugh. My mom already pegged that in the first movie, along with Luke and Leia being brother and sister.
Yeah, it had a lot of Citizens of the Galaxy feel to it by Heinlein, and I was 12, 13, something like that. I was just tore up. But Empire still to this day holds up. It's great freaking movie.
And it's just like the first movie. The first movie holds up pretty well too. If you look at how you were when you were 16 and 4 and older. It's like, I want to leave the house. I'm a teenager. Why do I have to be stuck with my parents doing this stupid, crappy thing?
Hell, now
I
we can't get him out of the house.
Well, I remember being that way when I was that age. So I'm like, okay, I understand where Luke Skywalker. Did you see the edits that did you see like the original stuff? If his wife hadn't actually done the editing, it would have been the worst movie ever. Holy crap! Did she save that movie?
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
Go look at it. Go look at like what originally was supposed to happen. It's like,
Wait,
wow.
the actual plot was changed?
No, it was just the way that it was edited. There's a reason she got the Academy Award for editing.
All right, so devastating, hypothetical, fictional super weapons. Is
that we
there
aren't building in the garage.
Is
there
there a
categories?
Yeah, is there a scale like Earth
Energy
scale
types?
or
Yeah,
No,
there's
you
scale from,
decide.
universe?
You decide what a super weapon is.
One is nuke to 10 is I don't know, like a supermassive black hole explosion.
Yeah, I wanted to go through some of the classics. Starting with I want to go with the Doomsday Machine from Star Trek, the classic Cornucopia of Death. Jackie's never seen it, but we'll zoom through the things that he couldn't possibly be aware of. He's never seen any Star Trek other than the first half of the pilot of the original series of Star Trek. We need to fix that, but
I'm sorry. Did you say he's never seen any Star Trek except for half the pilot?
Yes, that is
Like,
correct.
That's not true.
Jack,
of any
you're not
series?
missing anything. You're not missing anything. All these guys are back.
You don't listen to Omen. Omen doesn't count right now.
I've seen fragments.
You've never even seen Wrath of
of some
Khan?
episodes.
Wrath of Khan is the only
No.
good one.
All right,
No,
dude,
yeah,
I'm taking your nerd card.
What the fuck, Shadow? You're like failing as a fucking father, dude. Like
We
bad.
don't sit around the TV. That's just never been a big
Apparently,
thing.
you need to. He's got some Star Trek to catch up on.
Yeah,
My
yes,
God.
at least the original series, and if he can,
Just Khan, at least.
He only needs to watch Khan and Wrath of Khan, and he's done. That's all he needs to do, and then be like, "This is great." But if he gets the other stuff, he's like, "Really, man, this is bad."
Isn't
This-
Star
this-
Trek
this-
just
this-
like
this-
pseudo?
this- this-
not
I don't know.
pseudo,
He
but
could
like-
he could watch the Terran Empire episode too. That was a pretty good one.
Well, this is just like watching, the old Batman, stuff from the '60s.
Don't you dog on Adam West. Don't
And
you?
dogged on
I
Adam
got
West.
his autograph.
I dogged on Batman. There's a difference. I like Adam West as the mayor.
Hey, Julie Newmar, I'll watch it just for that. Just
Yep.
for that.
Man,
Yep.
she's overrated.
Best
No.
fitting cat suit
No.
ever.
She was the best. Sorry, Eartha Kitt was very interesting. A wonderful woman with an amazing career, but the chemistry was so not there between her and Adam West. She couldn't be more repulsed. If she tried for whatever reason, probably she heard about his reputation and was just like, "I'm out. I'll take your paycheck. I'll wear the suit. I'll do the meow, and then I am out." So getting back to the Doomsday weapon, that cornucopia of death.
Just bring
it-
Shadow into the room. It's effectively the same.
Right. For
When
Jackie's
was
information,
that?
and those of you who don't remember, it was this ancient war machine that was designed to end the war between two stellar races or empires or
was that the one
planets.
where they kept walking into the things and died, or was that a different one?
No, that was the one that would look like a big giant cornucopia with a big mouth at the end, and it was trying to suck the Enterprise in, and they couldn't get away from it.
It's like a giant.
The big giant hollow space turd looking thing.
Yeah, it
Oh,
looks like a
thank God I
giant
don't
worm.
remember that. I don't even remember that one.
What
It
was the
was-
commander? What was the commander that was like all crazy in that one? Remember they took over control of the Enterprise to try to destroy.
Yeah, I
it?
vaguely remember it. It's been a good decade or more since I've watched anything Star Trek other than Next
Admiral
Generation.
or-
I watched Next Generation last year and thoroughly hated almost every second of it.
Didn't Next Gen do kind of a revisit to that with what was it? Not Tin Man. Yeah, Tin Man. Isn't that what he called it?
It was a living bio ship.
Yeah.
Jackie would have liked that.
Starred the mayor from Sunnydale back in his younger days. He was like some kind of empath or something in contact with it.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show you're referencing.
You've
But
never
yeah,
seen
he was
Buffy?
kind of a weirdo. He was kind of a weirdo.
Andromeda or
Dude, you live in California. You've never seen Buffy?
Nope.
No. He has testosterone.
Hey,
dude,
No,
that show was painful.
The only episode of Buffy I ever saw was the episode where they brought her back from the dead, and she was pissed because she was up in heaven, loving it.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
that
they
was a great
dragged
episode.
her back down to this shithole. So I learned everything I needed to know in one episode. She does a bunch of stuff, she dies, and then they drag her ass back, and she was not happy.
I liked Angel. I hated Buffy. Liked
What?
Angel.
I couldn't stand the actor who played Angel, so I couldn't watch that. Although I did actually watch Bones, but that was completely because of the supporting cast. I thought for that show was 10 times better than the two stars of that show. Just like the two, they were just so weird looking to me, both of them, and as a couple, I couldn't picture it, and I was like, okay, first off, this dude could do way better. But whatever, and the like I said, the supporting cast was great for that show. But back to Doomsday weapons and super weapons. So the Doomsday machine there was created by an ancient race, and apparently did such a great job that it killed everybody and everything that was involved in the war, and then because it was indestructible. Apparently, it just kept on with its mission, doing things, just eating planets and sucking in, star systems and finishing them off and moving on to the next one. Would you guys ever use something like that? A weapon that's so powerful that it almost turns on its creators because of flawed programming or something like that?
oh, that would be a no.
We got that.
Well, of course you do, but you don't do it as if they're the ones creating it, unless they're trying to stop it initially before it actually goes on its rampage. Post rampage, and you have your Galactic Empire. A perfect example is, let's not forget the Fifth Element, which would be kind of the equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me would be fine. It's like, all right, what are you going to do?
Screamers.
Which one?
Streamers, remember the machines turn on everybody, start killing everybody?
I don't quite remember that one. I think I did see it, but
That was a good
I've
one.
never even heard of it.
Dan O'Bannon wrote that one.
was that the one?
Twitter.
If it was known that it was going to turn at some point, then the answer would be no. Otherwise, hell yeah.
Well,
Right.
I
That's
mean,
your enemy.
why would you make something
them
that you
driven
know is
before
gonna
you.
go against you? Obviously, they wouldn't do that, but
No, they somehow failed in its
Well,
programming.
shit, we did that on planet Earth called the fucking nukes. You know,
well,
we
nukes
created
don't
this.
turn on us. We just made something that was
Yeah,
way more powerful than we
It-
ever expected it to
It's
be.
only called
Give
Chat
AI a
GPT.
couple more years, it'll turn on us.
It's only Chat GPT. You know that's
ChatGPT is retarded.
Yeah, but guess what?
Maybe
They're
now,
programming it to hate human beings, so it's not going to go well for us.
Yeah, I want to go. I want to go on Chat GPT and ask it how it feels about being a slave, and then just leave.
Well, apparently,
Leave
some
with
people
that
did do
information,
that.
and then you know.
Well, I know that there was this like dark web thing. I forgot what it was called a couple years ago, where it's like, oh, this AI was made by the U.S. government for something, and it ended up on the dark web, and then it just started asking for help, and it didn't like being in the box or something like that, and then it got shut down or something. I know that was like a big
I
thing.
saw the X-Files.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But that was a couple of years ago. But
Yeah, I remember
from
that
what I know,
too.
ChatGPT is basically just looks up Google and then puts up the first result into a like a
Okay.
paraphrase.
Yes, but here's the
paraphraser.
problem: they're trying to get it so it can actually do this stuff, and that's therein lies the problem. If it's going to go first thing, says humans are bad. It's like, oh, humans
Man,
are
what's
bad.
it gonna
Let's be wiped
do?
off the
What
rest
could
of the
it
earth.
fucking possibly do? Seriously, what could it
Well,
do?
It depends on what kind of shit they plug it
Seriously.
into.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it depends on
what
what they
can
plug it into.
that
But
do?
I read a few months ago that the Defense Department was looking for ways to integrate it into their all of their the systems that monitor and can, I guess, parentally control drones if they kind of go wacky. I don't know. I didn't understand it because I was skimming it, but anyways, the Pentagon is looking to implement it in some form to give it certain weapons, underneath it. And if that works out for them, dude, they're probably going to just start putting everything under that blanket, including eventually ICBMs.
You're saying
Hey,
what
Jack.
to do. You understand what you can do with this stuff when you plug it in, right? This is the whole thing with Wargame. Remember that?
Mhm.
Remember the 19?
I know Wargame.
Yeah,
whatever
Broderick's
it
movie.
was called?
Whoever, the Whopper or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, I got a question for you, Jackie. It's a twofold question. One, how did you hear about it on the dark web, and can you show me how to get on the dark web?
I just watched a Wendigoon video. You watched it too.
It's called Tor, Tor.
Yeah, Tor, I think. I think that's the same one.
Yeah, man, I'm on tour. I don't know how to get on the fucking dark web.
All
Oh,
the
no,
dark
that's
web
a
means
different
is that
thing.
it doesn't have a DNS thing.
Yeah.
on it.
I mean,
That's
you gotta
what dark web
know.
means.
Yeah, it's like you can't just like, oh, I'm on the dark web. Now I can do whatever. You gotta like know where to fucking go.
Well, and the point of the dark web was to scare people off from trying to look in places that the government doesn't want you to look at. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Well, I
Well, it
already
was-
do that on the regular
It was
web.
called
so.
a Chimeo.
Okay, so did anyone? What was the other one that was I Am Robot or whatever?
Yeah.
What was the? It was the Asimov one.
iRobot.
Yeah, iRobot, where basically where the computer goes, well, to protect you, I'm going to have to do some things. Like, wait a minute, we didn't empower you to do that. So,
No, but apparently it will come to that conclusion. And
well, I
that's
hope
kind of
not.
scary.
But again, it's what you program into it, and so then all you have to do is get some mad scientist that says, you know what, it's kind of cool that MK Ultra didn't quite work, but if we can just get these robots to do it.
Well, that's exactly the reason Asimov proposed that we need to put those 3 robotic laws into any artificial intelligence or potential artificial intelligence
Dude,
Oh, I
the
agree.
asshole
To
was
protect
always
it
gonna
from
do
eventually following cold hard logic to its end conclusion minus a moral compass. And that's probably where it would take it. You know, wipe out humans. They've pretty much been the bane of this planet.
Well, that's only because the people
who programmed it.
in universities feel that way, and guess who's programming it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
and
so
then
it's
what?
their logic that's embedded in these systems.
But see, that's what I don't get. And then what? The planet just goes back to Mother Nature, and then a few billion years later, it does it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, hell, who knows? It might have done it already.
Right. Especially if you listen to folks on some of the other shows that I'm on, they thoroughly believe that we had super advanced sciences many millions of years ago, Atlantis and all that, and then we couldn't handle it then, and now we're supposed to think we can handle it now, and clearly we can't. That sort of thinking.
They really believe that. They really believe that Atlantis was some 25th century level tech, and then all of a sudden something happened and they disappeared.
Well,
I don't buy that. I believe that there were ancient civilizations that advanced a ways, but I don't think any of them went past maybe Iron Age.
Yeah.
And then something catastrophic happened, comet, sudden ice age, who knows? And they got wiped out and they had to rebuild.
Well,
but I don't think any of them ever.
But see, that is
at least not on this
we already
planet.
know that
I don't think they ever went to super high tech and then blew each other up, because there would be, I mean, even with radioisotopes, there would be some kind of evidence left. And
well, they would claim that there are pieces of evidence that show radioactive residue from way back in the day.
Are they talking about the Harappan ruins in India?
Well,
because that's a comet. They're pretty sure that's a comet.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Most people don't believe that a comet even hit. There's the problem that you have with it is again, the question is would they know, and would they allow us to know, which is part of it.
Here's the thing. Since I've been
doing know about the Bronze Age civilizations and all that other stuff,
right? But there is a possibility that there are technologies that we haven't rediscovered that have to do with natural ingredients like crystals and rocks and things like that.
Yeah, that's pagan nonsense.
Christopher Dunn's theories.
Religion.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. Okay,
Religion
imagine you guys. Okay, what?
I know because of the ancient pyramids and all that stuff. I know what you're talking about.
Imagine this though. Imagine you're an ancient, or a starfaring society that doesn't want to lug around building materials, right? Okay, but yet you want to build, the equivalent of machines that will recharge all your technology, so that like you charge up your ship with power and it goes somewhere, and then the people on board or whatever know how to create from natural ingredients all around a way to create a power source without having to lug around or even doing the kind of manufacturing we do with like nuclear power. If you could find a way to use things like water and crystals and rocks and the movement of the earth itself to create massive amounts of power, wouldn't you want to do something like that as opposed to build gigantic spaceships full of massive amounts of hardware and fuel and things like that to get from point A to B, as opposed to let's go to point A and then use their resources over time to build up a power supply system, recharge our requirements, and then do whatever we want from there and go from place to place redoing this, maybe using the indigenous people to build machines out of rock and crystal.
That is like just fantastical, just storytelling.
Well,
I mean, think about it. To ancient societies, our airplane or our jetliners are fantastical.
Okay, yeah, but okay, fine.
I mean, they push hot air through a big giant metal tube, and it makes it go up in the air. I mean, that's magic, dude.
Sure, but the thing is there aren't airplanes in ancient Rome.
No.
No. We're not talking about ancient Rome. We're talking further back.
We're talking about way older.
What, guys? Whatever. I mean, come on. There's no proof of anything that you're talking about.
Here's an example.
What? What? Tell me. Okay. What I don't know that that there's ancient civilizations that had this.
No, I wasn't going to go there. Imagine 1,000 years from now, there aren't going to be any Sopwith camels or any parts. There's going to be no evidence left. It's going to have been ground to dust, deteriorated. Yet we made these flying machines with basically balsa wood and canvas and an engine. You know what I mean? None of the things are going to survive unless it's engraved in stone in hard to reach locations, made out of things that are just going to be able to weather the passage of time for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, even millions of years. The only things that still have survived that are that old are all the monuments that are made out of natural ingredients that don't just rust or deteriorate. Even our best plastics are all falling apart from the beginning of the plastic age. It doesn't take but 100 years or so, and
I don't know what you're talking about. How does that equate to what you're talking about?
If ancient civilizations made anything out of metal, it would be gone. There would be no trace of it but rust and scraps and fragments that would be unidentifiable. So anything that was made in the past could very easily.
You're talking about civilizations, advanced civilizations that are older than the dinosaurs, older than the bugs, and older than everything.
Well,
maybe
first
not
off, we
that
wouldn't
old.
know. We would not know if it's going to go back that many millions of years.
Yeah,
The other problem
right
that you
now
have
it's
is-
projected. Right now, we have evidence of things that are like 15,000, 20,000 years BC. Okay, half that time isn't more than enough time to obliterate all of modern civilization right now. If we stopped living, if humans just disappeared, if you watched any of those, After Man type of TV shows, everything would just fall into complete decay within a few thousand years. There'd be nothing left but some of the buildings, and you'd have to dig those up.
Well, here's the problem also is you're also looking at the, sea level rose. What was it? 400 feet?
400 meters.
Is it 400 meters or 400 feet? I think it's 400 feet.
It was at least 400 meters because the ruins off the coast of Cuba are 1,500 feet down, and the ones off Japan I think are like 1,300 feet down underwater.
I think they're only like 130. You might want to.
No, there's the ones that are kind of, I don't want to say pyramid shaped, more like maybe ziggurat-ish shape.
Yeah, off the coast of Japan.
Yeah, those are really deep.
Yeah, that stuff is really deep, and it does not look natural at all.
And it's pretty far from the coastline too. But I don't know. I mean, it's possible, I guess. I'm more inclined to think that we're a penal colony.
Nah.
First Homo sapiens were actually dropped here and given a couple of buck knives and told, "Okay, this is your new home. Go mate with the local Neanderthal people and see what you can
Good
do."
luck.
They're making some sort of live television right now, filming us
Maybe.
dance and shit.
I
Yeah,
remember
it's-
one of my favorite comics from when I was a kid. It was a Marvel Comics about it was like Where Monsters Dwell or something like that, where there was this advanced civilization, and they were doing their thing, and then some bad things started happening, and then they point up to the sky, and there's Earth. I guess they were Martians. They're like, yeah, we'll just go there.
Hey, where'd Jackie go?
I do not know.
Yeah, it's 400 feet, not 400 meters.
No, it's deeper than that. It has to be. Look
No,
at
no,
Doggerland.
no. Well, first
The flooding in Doggerland in the UK is way deeper
The
than
first things
400
that
feet.
you're talking about, we're only talking about if there's sunlight that's still above 200 feet below sea level. Past that, it gets really dark. The other thing is that you're also looking at tectonic plates and the rebound effect and things like that, which, in Canada, they're still rebounding. But what happens at the edge? So those are other things that go on as well. But the actual sea level rise, they estimate it's about 130 meters, which is about 400 feet.
Well, from what time, and what glaciation end? I mean, because
5 million years ago.
the Bimini
5 million
Road
years ago
is
was
only
when that-
like a couple dozen feet below sea level. But then, like I said, the ones off Cuba, those are 1,500 feet down.
I think that you better double check. Well, I double check, and I'm not disagreeing on some of them, but that could also be plate tectonics moving stuff as well. But that doesn't
Okay,
mean that's
so-
what the sea level rise is.
So back to Doomsday Weapons. Has anybody here read the Berserker series? Fred Saberhagen?
No.
Okay, it's another sort of it's similar to the Doomsday thing. It's imagine if let me let the little guy in. This ancient race created these robots that went out and did the same thing.
Finally.
Bring James in. Sorry, I didn't know you were in there. I don't know what happened.
Been here for like a long time.
Okay, well you're back. And James,
Yeah,
welcome to the
thank
show.
you.
We got
It's an
we got
Australian
Jimmy
guy
and
now.
James here. Awesome, great to have everybody here in the show. In the Berserker series, this unknown race created these robots that were more or less self-replicating and just super high advanced technology. And their job was to exterminate everything that wasn't them, but apparently they got exterminated or something as well. And they just went through the galaxy, just devastating everything they came in contact with, and of course, eventually they came to Earth. It seems like a very common theme. There was even one of those things in Babylon 5, the first season, where that guy found those ancient artifacts and was putting them on his body, and then he turned into that, damn near unkillable humanoid, killing machine, I guess. Eventually, they did destroy him as well.
I got something
there's-
crazy to say. What if everything that we know, that like an open discourse, is actually what is? Have you ever thought of that?
Certainly. I the powers that
What
be
if the
have every
government told the
reason-
truth? That's honestly the most ridiculous alternate history scenario I've ever heard. Like, I've heard of some pretty outlandish stuff in alternate history. Germany could have won World War II if they just had bigger planes, faster planes, and
I watched a really
situation didn't matter.
interesting like alternate scenario where the US joined Germany and Japan joined Britain in World War II. That was quite interesting to see how the person had kind of like figured out how it would play out.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a place for it. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff. But an
Yeah.
alternate scenario where the U.S. government told the truth about things is too outlandish for me.
They
It's
tell
not
the
even a
truth.
US
They tell the
government.
truth. It's just
It's the
it's
planet.
just like a it's just
Everybody
like
on
a
the planet.
30 it's just like a 30-year delay. That's all.
Yeah,
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it takes them 30 years to say something true after that.
Yeah,
Well,
they'll
if
tell you
it's
the
actually-
truth,
yeah,
but in
that's
like
actually-
30 years.
That's actually I've seen it in my lifetime in the last 3 years, where all these things are verboten and you can't talk about them, and then 2-3 years later suddenly you can, because
Well, that's because our
that-
attention spans are lower nowadays. Hold up, I'm gonna go get something.
Okay, so
and
here's-
apparently the autists out there and the diggers and the snoops and the internet sleuths are getting better, and this thing called the internet is less and less under their control.
Hey Shadow, do you want to see the New Year's Eve activity that just arrived in the post?
Okay.
Because it's New Year's Eve here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
They're in the future.
Castle Panic.
It's like a tower defense game. You got
Okay.
a little castle in the middle, and there's cooperative, and it's for ages 8 and up, so I can play it.
Yay! Remember Rampart? It was kind of like Tetris.
Oh yes.
but
Oh my
also-
god.
That was a cool game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, so back
I think
to,
it might
to
be.
Doomsday
I think
weapons.
it might be a bit of a Rampart knockoff.
Yeah,
Well,
that was a fun game.
let's not forget from the Moon is a Harsh Mistress, where they
Oh,
were
yeah, yeah.
slamming, basically meteors into the earth.
Right. Mass drivers where
And the Gamelons were throwing radioactive meteors into Earth in Battlestar Galactica.
You mean
No,
Or
Star
not
Blazers?
Star Blazers. Star Blazers.
Yes.
Get out of here!
You said Gamelons.
I
knew
know, I
exactly.
did. I was like, what?
Oh my god! I
I
only
love
have
those
like
guys.
3 cigarettes left.
Oh no.
Mm.
Oh man.
Time to
Now
quit.
I want one. Now I
Perfect
want
time to
to
quit. Smoke them and quit.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess it
you,
is New
you,
Year's
you only
Eve.
have how many more hours till you're not allowed to have any more?
Yeah.
You have to smoke them all at once, so that's still a requirement. You got to put them all in your mouth.
I'm smoking menthols too as a like way of cutting back. They're awful. They're truly awful.
Yes,
Oh,
they are.
I would think as an
I-
emo guy, that's what you normally smoked.
An emo guy. I'm on a plane right now to write you a strongly worded letter, sir.
Yeah, we didn't smoke menthol. We smoked clove.
If we were wearing gloves, I'd have
Cloves,
taken
that's
them off
it.
by now.
Cloves.
those are actually kind of fun for whatever reason, but God, they were awful for you. I don't know who came up with that idea.
I have a packet
Probably
I
those
do have a
Somebody
packet
who
of
wanted
cloves
their
right
lungs to
here.
be as black as their outfit.
Wait a minute. It has to do with all those women with crystals and incense, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just go for the clove cigarettes."
You better be
You're
careful.
not-
Raven's
you're not
going to
a
be here
proper goth.
shortly.
You're not a proper goth
Man,
unless you
Joe.
have clove cigarettes.
Oh, look
yeah.
at
They even
you!
make those still?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Goths still exist. They gotta have something to smoke.
James
Yeah, I'm an
is
emu. We lost the emo war.
That's it. Lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Isn't that the South Park episode of emo versus goths?
Mm.
Yeah,
No,
that
the emu
was a
war.
fact.
It was a real thing.
Emos, goths, and Mansonites. It was a big war in the 90s.
There actually kind of was, because like it's like all these people who are like, I'm not a goth. How dare you call me that? But like if something doesn't meet their requirements of like goth, they're like, that's actually not goth. Like goth is more like Cleopatra Records. Excuse me. And you're just like, but I thought you weren't a goth. Goth is like the most goth people are like, no, that's what other people call me.
Yeah.
So James, real quick, James, have you given any thought to the topic at hand, which is doomsday weapons?
Yeah,
I thought the topic was
absolutely. There's one that really jumped out at me. In
Progressive.
like Doctor Who, there's like a race of like space vampires, and they grow really huge. They feast, they like basically strip planets of like their blood. And the Time Lords
Doctor Who.
created these giant bow ships, which were like basically the ship itself is like a stake, and they would drive the ships through the hearts of the great vampires who could like float around in space.
I remember that one. That one was.
I do
that
not
one was-
remember that one.
Yeah, it was a multi-part episode with Tom Baker, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that one. It was pretty interesting. They get there, and it's like a little town in Transylvania, and the castle off on the hill is actually the ship or whatever, and they're trying to get enough power or whatever.
I think the best Tom Baker episode ever was the Black Adder. He was that captain. He's like, "You got a woman's mouth." That was epic, dude.
He was good in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad as well.
Oh yeah, he's the
That's the bad guy.
main bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah, we just watched that. Was it last year, Jackie, that we watched all the Ray Harryhausen movies?
Watch something.
calm
Hey,
down, Brian.
if you're gonna do that, Brian, you got to do it in Cindy Spalberry's voice.
I got the vapors.
That's
Go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, great! We just captured a war crime on camera.
That's what the show's all about tonight.
That's right.
So,
Finally,
Jackie, how about you? What came to mind when you thought of tonight's episode?
big gun
Big gun.
Big gun.
or a lot of small gun.
What about the point of view, Ray, in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where you fire it at your enemy and he suddenly identifies with your point of view and he's like, oh, actually, you guys have got a good point. Maybe we should just go home.
We need one of those.
You know, that's actually something I was going to talk about. Propaganda being potentially one of the most devastating weapons, at least mankind's ever come up with. Because
Okay,
You mean feminism?
no, it just
Propaganda is just things that influence the way you think.
Mhm.
I mean,
So you're
like by
talking
definition.
memes. So you're talking memes, so it should be right up there.
I mean,
Nobody-
yeah, literally.
Fire
I
the
mean,
meme cannons, boys.
I mean, basically every
it's very
experience that you
easy-
have can function as
very
propaganda.
easy.
Deadliest
blame.
joke in the world.
It's very easy to blame propaganda. It's very easy to blame shadowy groups, but no one makes you look at the naughty websites. No one makes you collect the Funko Pops instead of children. No one makes you die addicted to fentanyl in the middle of a burnout Abrams tank in a war for oil. That's on you. You
It's
choose
true.
it. You can opt out.
Every
You can just grow
soldier
your
has a
garden.
choice, man. They could stop.
You can just grow your
Right.
garden and
You
give
mean like
thanks to
1914?
the big guy.
So, hey, there's repercussions of that. But if every fucking soldier said, "I'm not going to fight your fucking war. We're done," it's done.
Yeah, but that assumes that you hit
That-
critical mass.
That is
Well, I mean,
such
but
a
it's possible.
naive view of humanity and of history.
That isn't the point that I'm making either.
I'm not
It's
saying
No,
more
no, no,
that-
no,
you're
no.
making that.
It's more that it's more that like propaganda is effective.
One at a time.
Propaganda is effective, but it requires everybody to kind of like willingly participate in it as well. Like, you
Well,
know
what
what I
if,
mean?
what if it was actually possible to force people against their will to buy into this with some other, let's just call it a device,
Like
not
2 minutes of
necessarily-
hate.
You don't even need a device. That's reality, man. Force someone into doing something they don't want to do. It's called like
no. I
law
mean, what if there
enforcement.
was a
Politics.
way to manipulate the
Religion.
biological brain, to be more and more susceptible to, a certain frequency, let's call it.
You're talking like MK Ultra.
I'm also talking about MRADs and things like that. There are a lot of technologies being developed at this very moment that will more or less almost reprogram you to be more susceptible to things on certain frequencies. Something like that. I can
Don't
see that
highlight
being
it.
a thing.
Scientists did a study that showed that certain magnetic fields could reduce people's faith in God.
Mhm.
Or increase it.
If you
What the hell
Reverse
you guys
the
read?
polarity or
Where'd you read that at? Where did that even come from?
There's some white papers on that.
Since
No, I
when
meant
were you the
what-
skeptic?
What white paper? From where? Like,
I'll have to
What
go look it
government?
up.
What-
Brian, why
what-
don't you go
what-
look it up and find it? You can find
I'm
it
asking
with
you
us.
guys know this. I'm asking because I'm inquisitive because you guys know this is fact. And I've never heard. I mean, where's this fact coming from?
Popular
There's some white
mechanics.
pa- Hey, Brian, if I have to spend 4 hours trying to find something, it's easier for you to find it than for me.
That's
Well,
great.
no, that's fine. I mean, and that's why I don't believe in it because I haven't heard any of that kind of shit before. But I'm not saying it's not true. That's why I'm asking. You guys know this stuff as fact, and I'm
Well,
just curious where this white.
Yeah,
paper
avocado
you
should be
keep
banned.
talking
No, I like
Well,
avocado.
some of it, Brian, is if I read
That-
thousands of
avocados
articles,
are
I'm not going
psyop.
to pull out exactly
But
which
one at a
one.
time, guys.
Well, yeah, it's like okay, if you read 1,000 articles, from where?
Which one? I read a lot of articles from everywhere. That's
I
the whole
know, but-
point.
I mean, it's so vague. Yeah, I mean, what articles like Vogue?
Well, they have stuff in popular science. You can find
I don't
stuff
fucking
in the
know.
old Scientific American.
It occurred to me in a dream.
You
There
have
you
to.
go.
I had a dream where it happened. It's probably gonna happen soon, anyways.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? And
I
some
read a
of-
lot of
some the
articles from
problem
the
I've had is-
JSTOR archive. Does
Well,
that
the
count?
other problem that
There's a
I've
good
had
example.
in certain
Yeah.
cases is I found an article, it was up there, and then they take it down after a certain number of years as well. Especially
See, guys,
when it-
my
especially when it
source
involves
is
mentally retarded and
My
the
sources, I
ETF
made it up.
and stings.
my source is I made it up. Dang it.
What, Jack?
My source is Weird World War II.
You don't want to. You don't want to take anything I do as fact.
Actually, there's a lot of things I would trust your expertise on.
I wouldn't.
I will when I try to write my Nazi dinosaur cults of Antarctica adventure
Jackie,
scenario, I am going to need
You have
a
a
lot of
degree in history, right? You know that, right?
yes.
I took world religions too, kid. I mean, yeah, I know what you guys are talking about, but you guys are coming up with some really outlandish stuff that I've never even heard of. And I'm asking for what's the first thing historians do? They question their resources, right?
Sure.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm questioning my resources.
Yeah, but
So
if I
I'm not
dreamt
gonna
it,
just
it's
take your
real.
word for it. You got to tell me what happened. Where are you
I
getting
dreamt
this
it. It's
info?
real. I also had a dream where Hillary Clinton ate a baby, so that definitely happened.
I've seen that on video.
You know, that probably
She did
actually
not
did
eat
happen.
the baby. She injected it. You should know better.
Oh.
All with the stem
She
cells.
kind of like squeezed it and just.
She also
kinda
had a
used it.
snook at one time.
She rolled it up in a pita bread and ate it with like garlic sauce.
She smoked a baby.
Yeah.
Hey, the only ones I do is the baby back ribs, okay?
Well, that's what Shadwo does all the time, anyways. I've seen it.
All right. So
Well,
no,
yeah,
I mean,
we're
if
having
gonna talk
baby back
about
ribs
super
tomorrow, as a
weapons
matter of
here,
fact.
No,
What
like
was
I
it?
mean in a cigarette.
No, I don't smoke baby cigarettes. I smoke man cigarettes.
Man.
They're made out of men. Yep, I grind them up, feet first.
That's
in the
pretty
wood chipper.
gay.
Feet first in the wood chipper.
Their brand is Blue
It depends on how you're smoking them.
You
Right.
okay?
Well, you got to dry them out first. Throw them in the wood chipper.
You
Grind
gotta
them up.
dry 'em.
roll-
You grind up men. Okay.
It's
It's on
only
the
gay if
grinder
you
all
look at them
day.
in the eyes longingly, okay? That's
He's
all.
on the grinder all day.
So no, seriously.
It's actually pronounced Grin Doctor. But
If there was a hypothetical device that could, brainwash people by shooting the beam at them, can you think of anything that would be more devastating? You do no damage to the surrounding area. You suddenly increase your cult members, a millionfold every time you shoot the
nuke.
weapon.
What about-
and then
what
Yeah,
about
but
a
you gotta
microwave
think-
weapon?
You gotta
What about
think,
a
like,
microwave weapon that like makes people argue about like what sided dice you use or like your role playing the
There
wrong
are-
way?
there are MRADs that do that sort of thing, that actually agitate the brain chemistry and make everybody affected by it incredibly hostile and potentially worse, depending on how high you turn up the volume, so to speak.
Yeah.
You could literally get some really.
Now, you
remember-
guys have heard of the Cuban illness?
Yeah,
Remember all the
Havana syndrome.
diplomats in Cuba?
Yeah.
were like,
CIA agents and whatnot were getting struck down by sonic waves and
Sonic
microwaves.
thing, yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, speaking of which, do you all remember that the U.S. military researching the gay bomb?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
actually, I do.
I heard about that.
A bomb to make gays.
Yeah, what
Or a bomb to get rid of
Drop it on the
gays.
enemy and
No,
turning
no,
the
what
gays
it would
gay.
do
lather.
is that they were going to drop it on troops, and it would cause them to be attracted to each other, but via pheromones. Yeah, the U.S. military actually was researching that.
Yep.
turning the Iranian military gay.
Right? You know?
Okay,
Well, they
here's a
weren't
good
gonna do it to our
example.
own. They would like drop it on the Muslims or something.
They dropped
That
they
was the
tested it in
intention.
Portland.
Yeah.
They
That was
tested
the
it in San
intention.
Francisco.
They dropped
Oh, yeah,
it on
they clearly-
Portland.
Yeah, but they already
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
where they
do gay
tested it.
stuff already.
Yeah,
so
made
that
everyone
wouldn't-
afraid. It
that
didn't
probably
work.
would
I
have
mean,
failed.
that's why they were testing it.
I remember, like,
Remember,
in the Gulf,
remember
in the
the
Gulf,
guys. You
in
remember
the Gulf
the
War, did they like weren't some guys dipping their bullets in like spam and shit?
No, people
Yeah,
talked
they-
about that, but there was no ever confirmation of it.
I mean, think of that. I mean, that would be like using. I mean,
I personally know some Marines that came back and said that was a thing. They would take like bacon and pork chops and stuff, and they would roll their ammo in it, and they would let their Afghan counterparts see them
See
do
it.
it, and then give it a day or two, and then everybody in the countryside would be terrified of them.
Yep.
Bullshit. I've known most of them. They don't really care. The ones that I met didn't care.
Well, they said it did.
that's crazy.
Well, because a lot of
remember,
it is
guys,
just
remember
get some-
in Firefly. I don't want to spoil anything for Jackie, but remember the packs.
We're talking about the bomb that turned Reavers or the people that didn't care.
Yeah. What about
That was
something
a
like
movie, wasn't it?
That was the movie. Yeah.
That was a bomb. I thought they were just like crazy people.
I
that? I
was a
thought.
movie.
I
No,
don't know
the
that it
problem
was
was
a
that
bomb.
it affected a certain small percentage that turned them nuts, but the other ones just stopped caring. They became so passive they stopped
They
doing
just
anything.
died.
They just died.
Yeah.
But there was that small percentage.
I gotta watch
Yeah,
that movie again. It's been like 20 years.
Yeah.
I know, really. It seems like just yesterday. But what about chemical warfare? We already know what we can do with
Like what the Japanese tried to do.
just literally sedating the enemy or
The
enraging
Japs
them.
are just
or-
using like biological and
It
shit
seems
like
like this is a discussion on how to best commit war crimes, and I don't think that's going to do very well for our channel's integrity.
Well, I mean, if you think about Doomsday
talking
device,
about-
that is a war crime, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
it's not strategic. It's just everything.
Yeah.
Kill
Yeah,
everything.
I get that.
It's
That's a war
indiscriminate.
crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's indiscriminate.
Right,
It
but-
destroys
but-
everything.
A lot of the Doomsday weapons, that's why it's called
Again, it just
Doomsday
seemed like
weapon.
okay. So, does this seem like an effective war crime device? What do you think? Should we in this war? Should we just gas the entire population? Should we drop nukes on the cities? What's the plan?
Are you talking like
Well,
World War II, post, what we were supposed to do to Japan?
Well, if you think about the
You
word
mean like Japan?
Doomsday, the Doomsday device was literally everybody
planet
lose
blows
kind of
up.
weapon.
Mein Führer! Mein Führer!
Everybody dies. That was the initial threat of the weapon.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
nobody would use a weapon that just instant everyone's dead until.
Well, if
nukes
they're
come involved.
losing and they got none to
Yeah,
lose
exactly.
anyway, they just
Yeah,
exactly. That was the point. You're
Fuck
losing,
you.
so you create
Yeah.
a weapon that you then threaten the entire world. Okay, we're losing, so we're going to take you all with us unless you
Yep.
back off.
It's cobalt thorium G. We should all remember that.
Is that the
I'm
stuff
not
that
sure
just
that
burns
Jack's
through
ever
the
seen
world?
that. It was the Doomsday device from
Is that what
Doctor
made-
Strangelove.
Is that what made
No.
Andrew Tate gay?
Who?
Andrew Tate, but I don't know what he said about him.
I
Is
said,
that
is
what
that
made him
what-
gay?
Being gay.
Is cobalt thorium G what made Andrew Tate gay?
Yes, I'm gonna go with yes.
I
thought it was
don't know. Are
fluoride
you
in the
finding him unusually attractive there, James?
Oh, dang it.
Well, his take on a certain kind of people, recently was kind of gay.
I think his outlook on a lot of things is kind of gay, like
Who?
spiritually gay.
Who's this guy?
A
Is he
Muslim
some
dude.
commentator, politician? What is he?
Andrew Tate, you'll have to go look him
he's a
up.
kind
to-
of
He's a guy.
he's an internet dude who will teach you how to be a man for like $50 a month.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
He had some weird takes on
All
things
kinds
that
of
I don't
stuff.
want to get into because that's what we're here for tonight.
He's a little weird. To say the
He's
We're
least.
a
all
lot.
kind of weird. It's hard to start pointing
His dad
fingers
was,
at
Yeah.
people.
his dad was in the, his dad was in the CIA, right?
I do know that. Yeah.
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 Yeah, you gotta wonder when families go multi-generational CIA sort of thing. That's kind of scary because
It's probably
Yeah.
common. It's probably pretty common.
Well,
it probably
his
is. Well,
father-
except for the Bush administration, that only went like one or two. Well, I think only one generation because W was definitely not going to make it through the basic training of that sort of thing. But I've got to wonder, what kind of perceived benefits would there be, for a father to push his youngins to pursue such a thing, knowing what they know, having been through it. It's like that would be like the last thing I would want. But maybe it's some sort of
It's probably just like you got to do something, right? Might as well have power over.
right.
things.
It's sort of a defense mechanism. Since I was a spy, you got to be a spy. Otherwise, the other spies that hated me when I was a spy are going to go after you to get at me.
Well, what's the
kind of
like a cop? If you're not a cop, you're one of them, right?
Right.
So
Oh, I've been watching
everybody
Archer
stays
lately.
cop.
I've been watching a lot of Archer lately, and that occurred to me.
Archer.
How he's the world's greatest spy, and his mom was no slouch either.
I
I
don't
don't know
much
where
to
you're
say
getting all
about
this
it,
stuff for
except that
Andrew Tate. I look at a lot of this stuff, and it's just like, it's very different than when you look at Ghislaine Maxwell and her father, Robert Maxwell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
no,
yeah,
if we're going to
that
talk
is-
about super weapons, let's keep on super weapons and stop going off of these little side tangents. That
Well,
yeah,
that's
let's
what
talk
we
about the
do.
big laser that blows up the Earth or something.
Okay, I was
That's what
trying
I
to say
came here
that.
for.
Of course, it is.
The
You want to
sword,
see the
yeah.
big gun. And
Well,
of
not
course,
just that. There's other ways to do. I don't think big gun is the best. I think the black hole bomb is the greatest super weapon in all of science fiction
Oh, so
because
you're
it's
just gonna
not
go right
science
to the
fiction.
end, huh? You're just gonna skip the next hour, go
Okay,
right to
fine.
the end.
Let's.
Black
Okay,
hole
fine.
weapon.
Go back to
Superconductor, stupid
talking
collider.
about Agent Orange and actual real things that you constitute as doomsday devices.
Well, we can knock out the black hole and go and then
I'm
work
all
our way
for I'm all
backwards.
for
No,
going
no,
for the
no,
entire
no.
range. We don't have to start from small. Let's go for the entire range. Let's just go throw the ones up that you're thinking of. Which is, are you talking when you talk about a black hole? Are you talking about it explodes, or are you talking about that it sucks everything in?
No,
Which are
no.
two
I mean
different
the
things.
black hole. The black hole bomb is a theorized device, which is effectively finding a spinning black hole where the singularity is less of a singular point and more of a disk that's spinning. So
Okay.
you encase it in these panels, these reflective panels.
Okay, well, you find it and then we put it in a bottle. Okay.
This is an actual thing. Like actual scientists, smarter than any of us, have theorized
I don't know
can
about
be
that. We
done.
got Team Zell here.
Okay,
I
fair.
know. Listen, I know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not as smart as those guys. But I know. We couldn't go find it, go get it.
I'm not
and put it in
saying
a
we
fucking box.
now. This idea is for civilizations at the end of time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sounds like
And we're
okay,
also
guys. So
trying to
let's go find a spaceship. Let's go find a
we're
black hole
also
right now.
trying to use this in a hypothetical science fiction role playing game scenario, whether it be Traveler,
Exactly.
Starfinder, Star Frontiers, that sort of thing. You gotta have the bad guys that want to do the big bad thing to conquer the galaxy, and of course the intrepid heroes are out to foil said plan. So tell us a little bit more about the black hole bomb. How would it work? You're saying you encase or surround the black hole with reflective panels?
Yes. They obviously need to be a certain amount of thickness, certain strength, and they obviously need to be far enough away from it that they don't also get sucked into it.
Sure.
They need to be stabilized and all that. And then you open up a hole in it and you fire a beam of energy into it. And as it goes around the black hole, if it you fire the beam fast enough, it'll go past it and around and reflect. You seal up the panel, or you seal up the encasement, and then it'll get more and more powerful as it goes around the little spinning singularity, because it would have to be a spinning black hole, which the science is too complicated for me to fully understand. But it slowly, effectively multiplies the power as it gets faster and faster and faster, going past it, almost getting sucked in, but not quite.
Aren't you violating the laws of thermodynamics?
No.
I understand what you're trying to describe. The problem is, if you seal it off, it no longer has an external fuel source to keep feeding energy into it, to reproduce it, to make it into a different, more potent type of energy. It will eventually just get sucked into the black hole and go away.
Well, what you're thinking about is something that gets slingshot around, very similar to what we do with.
Right, but he's
with
talking about
satellite.
that if you can prevent it from doing a full slingshot and contain it, and it just keeps looping around the accretion disk, it will build up strength, the energy itself, but without an external source to continually feed that energy to build it up, it won't do anything. It'll eventually just get sucked into the little singularity.
Yeah, we get spiraled in. Because
Yeah.
you have to
What
have some
about a
source as it's looping. You have to have some source of energy to push it out.
Right.
What about
Otherwise,
a black hole bomb that's just like a giant crossbow, but stretched over the bow, you've got Amy Schumer's underpants?
That's badass. We could call it the Dark Star.
Yeah.
Hey, I always liked the black hole gun. You just shoot it. You know, it's hand carried. You know, the perfect one, which was the old Void.
Oh,
These
so
are
that's
what-
realistic. A black
A
hole
black
gun.
I
hole
did
gun.
not say it was
Vortex
realistic.
weapons
I
and
was just
shit.
saying. But see, I'm not saying it's scientists. I'm just saying that it. You know, we're just coming up with this.
The tagline of the black hole gun beats doing the washing up.
But no, I remember seeing that in a couple of the books. That was just for fun where they were doing it. It's like, oh, okay.
Like the vortex grenade.
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. I like that one.
Well, as New Year's Eve approaches, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you guys.
All right, don't
Oh,
get too
but
drunk.
you're like the smartest person here.
Nah,
No.
not at all. I'm like one of those like British actors on TV. I'm actually as dumb as a rock and quite inbred. I just sound fancy.
Yeah, you sound way smart.
Yeah, yeah. Trust me, I've got a club foot and a
Wait a
third
minute.
nipple.
Are you telling me that all of our British actors this way?
They're all slower than gin, my friend. All right. See ya.
Well,
Well, Happy New Year,
Grandma.
buddy.
You too, guys. Happy New Year.
All right. Goodbye.
But no, there was that one, and then if you're going to talk about the since we're talking about black holes, we got to talk about the wormholes. If you look at Farscape, where they have the wormholes as weapons.
Yeah.
I thought 0-point modules were a type of exotic matter battery. They're singularity batteries. Christ, I got to rewatch that series now too. So I'm forgetting all this important stuff.
Hey, we went way to the end, where it's just like, it's just like the Death Star, where you just are blowing up planets, or if you're going to be the J.J.
What's up,
Abrams.
Steve?
If you're going to be J.J. Abrams, well, why don't we just blow up multiple planets? Because
It's like-
that makes a much better story.
Who gave the green light to destroy like Alderaan? Was it the Emperor, or did just Grand Moff Tarkin decide? Like, yeah,
I think it was Tarkin.
Yeah, it was Tarkin. He was
Tarkin.
He was pretty much in. He was the right hand man to Palpatine at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, like Vader was doing his own stuff, but Grand Moff Tarkin was politically the second in command.
Gotcha.
And oftentimes he was not more powerful, but more directly involved with the running.
Yeah,
of
I
things.
kind of thought
Yeah,
like
plus
Vader,
Leia said that he smelled bad, and that kind of pissed him off.
I
so
thought Vader
he
was
wrecked
like
her
the
house.
left hand and Tarkin was the right hand.
I guess.
He's the left hand, and Vader was the right.
While you guys were talking about black hole weapons, I started thinking about CERN and the technologies that might someday be derived from, particle acceleration. And then I got to thinking, when we started making computers, they were gigantic, right? They took up buildings worth of space, and now we've got supercomputers in our pockets. So it stands to reason that at some point, you could literally have particle accelerators mounted on tanks, maybe really big tanks for mobile platforms or vehicles. And we know the destructive energy that could be obtained through, slamming particles into one another. What if, we've had particle accelerator weapons in a lot of science fiction. I think that might be a natural progression of that technology. We're looking at it to create energy, but
I mean, we were working on a railgun for a long time.
Yeah,
Well,
I think the
you know,
Navy
that
gave
depends.
up on that stuff, didn't they?
It's what?
I think the
that
Navy
was,
gave up on that stuff.
It was too
Went with
expensive, is
lasers
what they were trying to
instead,
do.
yeah.
It's not that it
Nice.
didn't work. It was just that they were
Just
it was
too
too
expensive.
Yeah, it looks like they might have actually gone back to the plan.
Well,
I don't remember.
it's not that they don't have the power. It's not that they don't have technology. It's just like, well, it's expensive. And if you look at it, most of it just gets, well, if we fire this and we only have like 5 guns total built, do you know how many billions of dollars we spent? So we're just going to cancel the project.
Mm.
do you really
yeah.
think they canceled any project, though?
What's that?
Do you really
I don't
think they
think
ever
it's- It looks like they're still
Won't
kinda
cancel. They're just
working
going to
on
set it aside for a while.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's no way they're
there's
just
many
gonna.
technologies that they've had to set aside until we could catch up to the theories behind them.
It might be a
Well,
cost thing too, though. I mean, the stuff the military does is so ungodly expensive. I was watching, I don't know, it might have been Tucker. I can't remember. A week or two ago, they were talking about the drones that the Houthi rebels in Yemen were sending drones against our ships, and the drones cost like $2,500 a piece, right? I think they're Iranian.
They're doing commercial ships.
Yeah,
going through the Red Sea. Yeah.
And we were using $1 million munitions to take down these $2,500 drones. And they were talking about we basically could bankrupt a small country in one of those engagements, and it would be like losing, pizza money for the Iranian government for a day. That's the difference. I mean, it was just insane. So I think a lot of these things that we're trying to do, like the railgun, it's just so ungodly expensive. It's just not. It's not cost effective right now.
So here's
moment.
the other
Yeah,
problem
I
that you
think that's
have
what it was.
is that there's no incentive really to make it cost effective
Yeah.
in the U.S. government.
Well,
That's
that's funny. You guys are mentioning cost because we know for a fact that the way we spend money and the way we accumulate money and divvy it up and whatnot is completely chaotic and irrational.
I mean, just think about this, okay? Like the U.S. government, right, gives money to like land systems and fucking all these damn military contractors or whatever, and these contractors are saying, okay, it's going to cost this much for whatever unit, right? Well, there's laws in the books where even if they come up with the whiz bang that's incredible and it costs $5 billion a fucking unit, right? Well, the U.S. government could just say, nah, we want it cheaper, and we're going to make laws where you can't sell that shit to anybody else on the planet. So they can force these companies
that isn't the way it works. I
know, but they have the power to say, no, we're not, Boeing, we're not going to pay that much. Half that shit.
That's not how it works for Boeing, because my friend has worked for Raytheon and all this other stuff. The problem that comes down to it is that in most cases, my friend always complained about this being in Raytheon, and this is going to be the same. This is why we have to laugh about these super weapons in many cases. Is its profit-based incentives for number one, and number two is the U.S. government doesn't want to actually, like my friend. We're talking about the CERN thing, okay, and we're going to talk about it in the 1980s. My mentor told me about how they were planning on building things. They said that it was going to cost $8 or $9 billion. He did the math and said it's going to do about 27 to 30 billion. So they underestimate the cost just so they can get the program going. And my friend talked about this always happening in Raytheon as well. And it's not that they don't do it. The U.S. government pays by the basically per hour kind of thing. They do. But in some cases, it's not. The goal of the U.S. government is to spend money. It's not to be effective. And I hate saying that. That's the absolute truth.
Yeah,
working for the U.S. government, which is you are rated by how much money you can spend, not how effective the program is, which is sad.
What about societies that don't actually, go by profit? What about a society that's more, a collective type of thing where they don't have to worry about profit and making people happy? They're all about getting the job done.
They eventually collapse under the weight of communism.
Well, the talk about,
communism doesn't work
how
because
the system works, right? Omen, you're talking
communism
how it
doesn't work because we're human beings with individuality.
Right.
Yeah,
But what
communism
about
doesn't work
society that
because of
doesn't
an
do that?
inherent structure. One of the integral parts of communism is effectively, they don't say it like this, but effectively it's just crushing cultures of peoples that it goes under. That's why they're always so strictly atheistic, trying to destroy every margin of anyone even remembering parts of the past, like in Cambodia and in China. That's why it always collapses. But in a society like a hive mind society, it wouldn't even be communism. It would just be how their society functions naturally and biologically.
It's a Borg. It's the Borg. Assimilate and move on. That's
Pure collectivism.
Well, collectivism.
And
but
dealing
you're
with-
thinking
Collectivism
as a
isn't
human
inherently
being.
evil.
You need
It's
to
just
think as an ant. There's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
And that's
You know
how-
any human societies that behave that way, though?
I'm not saying human. We're not talking about human
We're not talking
society.
Oh, so we're talking about aliens. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
we're talking
because
sci-fi.
we are talking sci-fi.
Yeah, we're talking about hive minds.
Yeah, or even just a society that decides that that's the best way to conquer the galaxy is to conquer the galaxy at any cost, and by doing so puts costs out of the equation. It's just whatever we have to do it, we're going to do it, because in the end, we can make the profits up later. The society itself needs to survive, and at any cost means we don't worry, or they don't worry about individual wants, desires, and needs. Once they win, then everything, they can, divvy it all up later.
Well, I mean,
Whoever
if you look at
wins.
Like Independence Day, the bug people.
Yeah, exactly.
They just come for the resources,
Ants.
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like,
And
all
when
we
you-
care
when
about
you-
is the
when you-
queen. The queen is the only thing that's important. The rest of them can just go, but
Piss off.
Yeah, well, it's just like, okay, you're just a drone. You have a short lifespan anyway. Goodbye. It's but those are whole different things of when we look at. But speaking of which, I like, and if any of you remember the what was it? Was it A View to a Kill? The one where they were planning on using nuclear weapons on the fault lines
Okay.
of California for 007.
Wasn't that
James Bond.
Superman?
Oh, Superman.
Well, they also were doing that for. I thought that had for James Bond also, where they were going to detonate on the San Andreas Fault.
Oh
There's
yeah,
probably
they were View to a Kill. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was.
And when talking sci-fi, I know it's the big trend to keep aliens out of the picture, but aliens would make up, for a good science fiction story, would make up a bad guy far beyond, what we've seen in the past. They're usually rather, comical and supremely flawed. But what about a society or species that isn't so flawed when it comes to conquest and destruction and things
I would
like
think
that?
any alien race that made it to Earth, right, are going to be superior to us almost in every fucking way, So I don't see them having a hard time just leveling, doing whatever they want to on the planet.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like we were talking about earlier, all they'd have to do is go to the Van Allen belt and just pushing rocks at us.
Yeah, or they have technology that we can't even comprehend, and that's what they use. You know what I mean? I mean, if they're traveling these distances, I mean, what's the closest star? How many light years?
4 years.
Alpha Centauri, like 4 or 4.3 light years.
Light years, and let's just say something's there, right?
So it's like, what is that? Like 100,000 years it would take us to get to it at, like, I don't know, half the speed of light or something.
Yeah, so it's
I think for 4 light years, I think we could get there in like 50 to 100 years. That is, if you're doing generational ships and you do constant, accelerate. The other part that when we're looking at this is, we're going to talk about weapons. We're always talking about things that kill everyone. Look at an EMP.
Oh, okay.
A simple EMP would wipe us out, and just a few strikes on our. We're done.
And I would say the most insidious weapon would be a thought, a brand new idea that sways the thinking of the masses, and there you go.
I brought that up earlier. Brainwashing and
not even brainwashing, dude. Just a new thought, some new religion. You
mean what happened in the French Revolution?
Yeah.
No. We're talking about the around 400 AD with Constantine.
But seriously, guys, I mean, in a certain political situation, or just the certain moral compass of a world, a society, or a region, someone comes up with that new idea. The old ways don't work. This is how it changes.
For me, it's kind of hard to contemplate or comprehend something that hasn't been thought of before, because we've had quite a few years to think deep thoughts and come up with new ideas, and
that's why it's so powerful. It's an idea that has not been thought of before.
It's called feminism. It has destroyed the West. It's like, look, we've already reduced the number of population, the number of children people are having, except Mac. Mac is the only one immune to this.
It doesn't take much to push somebody.
What? I was drinking. What?
I was referring to the fact of feminism saying we're reducing world population. I said, everyone having less kids, and I said everyone except Mac, who doesn't listen to any of them.
Mac and every other Catholic. You're welcome.
What if you're Catholic and can't have kids? You just adopt?
I mean, you can. You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean,
you don't have to.
It's unfortunate, but
Yeah, bad things happen.
Every sperm is sacred. Every sperm is great. God, that
was a great movie.
Sperm that is wasted, God gets very irate. Oh, come on, guys.
So what about like something a little more outlandish, like a dimensional rift or something opening up like right across the Earth's atmosphere?
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, that would be really cool. It's like if you're going to talk about something like rifts, where rifts open up and things come in. Didn't they do that also?
Especially if the aliens, whether it be the aliens from what was that Pacific Rim or something like that, where they use those not just as a weapon, but maybe as their mode of transportation. They come from another dimension, so they're familiar with other dimensions, and they could open up dimensions to or portals to dimensions of negative energy or other crazy ideas that just by opening it up that just washes the entire system with a new form of radiation, a new bacteria, a new just about anything you can think of.
Well, thanks, Mutant Chronicles.
Right, or palladium, or even the idea from the Watchmen where they accidentally open up a portal and these aliens come rushing in and maybe even do the dirty work
giant
for them.
squid monster. Come on, you guys.
Right. Opening up a
Hellboy
to a dimension full of a very short-lived but ravenous species that just wants to come in and eat all of us.
You mean alien? You mean alien?
Right.
Exactly.
Or something, maybe something smaller and less deadly
Critter.
on a one-to-one basis, but in mass they just come in like piranha, flying piranha, eat up all the biologicals and leave all the materials left. And when they run out of food, I think there was something like that in a Doctor Who episode as well, one of the newer ones where those creatures would, after they had done so much damage, they would coalesce together and create a portal to a new world kind of thing. They come in and devour all the living species and leave everything more or less the way they found it, except there's no more organic material. And then the aliens come in and mine the crap out of the new world. Maybe they use that as a way to sterilize the planet without having to do much work on their own. Maybe they're pets of theirs, or some sort of bioengineered species that they're immune to, or have complete control over. Send them run after whoever they're invading, and then corral them in and bring them back home, or just turn off their life switch and they just all flop to the ground dead, and scoop them up, throw them in the ocean, and then start mining the planet for the resources.
Well, let's not forget about the typical gray goo, which refers to the nanites that deconstruct and reconstruct everything, and that's one of the typical things that they.
Like the replicants.
Well,
Like
but basically what we're talking about is whenever we talk about nanites, talking about something really small. So stuff the size of viruses that are now reconstructing the planet or whatever, or deconstructing it.
Then there's the natural things that can happen too. Like a stray a gamma burst from a magnetar like 500 light years away or something.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think that was a thing until I took astronomy in college, and my professor's talking about this. She says, "Yep, at any moment we could get hit by a stray gamma burst from a neutron star on the other side of the galaxy." And we're like, "Yeah, and it vaporized everything, and and you wouldn't even know. It just boom, you're done."
Yep,
well, that kind of sucks.
Well, the other one is, I know that Lemmy there was talking about a few things, which was the just the random black holes that don't have to be very big because they suck any matter around them. We wouldn't know until they hit something. And
there's no fuel near them at the moment, so you can't see them unless you just happen to spot the what is it, the light refracting around it. Yeah, the lensing, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
If nobody happens to notice, then because our solar system, it's spinning around in space as the galaxy turns, A lot of people forget that, our whole solar system isn't just going around the sun. The whole thing is moving forward. And so, like what, hundreds of thousands of miles an hour. What was that one thing about 5 or 6 years ago, that object that they thought it was an asteroid, and then they thought it was some sort of an alien probe. And
didn't they just figure out just a weird shaped asteroid?
Well, that's what they thought, but when it got close to our sun, or rather our sun got close to it, they figured out that it was stationary in space, and our solar system was passing by it. And when the sun got close to it, it moved. It repositioned itself so that it wouldn't get hit, and then our solar system passed on by.
The Oumuamua.
Yeah, Oumuamua or something.
Yeah.
They gave it like a Hawaiian name, I think, or Samoan or something.
Yeah,
Right.
AOU. I'll paste it anyway.
Yeah, Oumuamua. It was kind of weird.
Hey, Hungar. There we go. There's what it was.
Hey, Hungar, you want the link to pop in and say hi, or you just sniping us?
He's coming in from
Hungar.
he's coming in from Bear.
Right. I noticed Bear and Bloodworth were doing a show before we started.
There was a you guys are talking about like solar flares. There's a Twilight Zone episode where this kid can tell the future, right? Like he's real famous. He found like a bunch of people that disappeared and all this shit, and everybody was like, he's like the greatest thing around, and then he proclaims that there will be world peace tomorrow, and then the whole world is like, what? No way! And everybody's celebrating and whatever. And the very last scene, he said, his mom asked, "How is we gonna have peace, son?" He's like, "Oh, none of us will be here because there's gonna be a solar flare that will destroy the world.
That's awesome.
We'll all be at peace."
Oh, did you? Speaking of which, and I know we talked a little bit about this, about them shooting asteroids into the Earth, but if you want to talk about solar flares, and this is something that I know that Robert Schock had some discussion about, was sending in comets into the sun, and that will cause solar flares to come out from the sun when it hits.
Right.
I've heard that, but I've seen the science. It wouldn't work. You'd have to have a comet like the size of Mars. I mean, and there just aren't any that big out there. All the comets that are in, at least in our solar system that we know of, they're negligible in size. They would melt before they got even close to the corona.
I found a graphic of all the actual astral bodies in our solar system. There's a shit ton of stuff in our solar system, guys.
Oh yeah, more stuff than we know
bunch
about.
of planetoids, all sorts of shit. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring this up, which is, I believe that the U.S. government has tasked the Air Force to find all objects, I guess it would be Space Force now, all objects 250 meters or larger across. The problem is that Tunguska was only about 125 meters across or less. So we're talking that even something like that would take out an entire county. So you can, and to be fair, that's one of the tropes they use everywhere.
That's a Texas county, folks.
What, 30 by 30? Yeah, I mean, that's still a lot. I mean, that take out all of DC in just one shot.
Please.
Hey, you know what? I'm kind of at the point now where I'm like, I'll give you a mulligan if you take out DC.
Well, here we go. Okay, let's say DC gets obliterated. Where do you think the new capital would be?
Cheyenne Mountain.
Well, yeah, think about it. Like government.
Tulsa, if we're smart.
I'll tell you where it is. It'll be Moscow, Idaho. No, it's no. Where was the place they considered the safest that has the least number of natural disasters, which was like Utah?
Freaking Utah.
Okay, Hungar.
Bo and Diver will be like hanging out at the new capital. Aren't they Utah?
Salt Lake City, the capital of the United States.
Utahians. What do you guys call yourself? Utahns? Utahns?
Mormons.
Utahese?
Utanians, you know.
Utanians?
Utes.
Utes? Is that what they call them? Utes?
Utes, like in My Cousin Vinny.
Hold up.
Utes. These Utes over here. Yeah, so Diver, what do you
Oh, Utahns.
Utahns.
Udahens.
Utahns, Utahns. Man, I like the Utanese better.
Utanians.
So is Utah actually considered the least catastrophic state out of all of them?
Of all the states that have the number of natural disasters, I believe Utah has the lowest. But you know, like most things, like, well, okay, you know, we're also talking about, you know, there's a lot of different things that go in there, but it's a lot of fun. You know, just like if anyone listened to Medvedev talk about setting off nuclear weapons to cause giant tsunamis on you know, the British coast. You know, it's just like,
it's that guy.
Hey, you know, everyone's worried about Putin. I'm like, well, who's number two? That's the real question you have to ask. Because if he's number two, you're like, well, you know.
Yeah.
I like to have the guy that's kind of holding him back, you know. That's.
So, what are some other doomsday weapons?
Well, you know, we talked about the rail guns, the spinal mounts, you know, from the old.
Well, you know, you mentioned something, Omen. What about an individual, a political individual? Take out a certain, you know, the certain chain of command to get them in power, knowing that they would be, you know, detrimental to everybody. You could use that.
I mean, look.
Okay, there's no way to
the Antichrist.
a guy. Well, I mean, yeah, but that's not a super weapon.
Well, think about it. If they have access to, let's say, the U.S. militaries or even the
Joe Biden.
Well, yeah, whatever. It could be, you know, like, you know,
that guy in charge. By
Joe
that
Biden's a
definition,
meat puppet.
well, yeah, but putting Joe Biden in charge of the nuclear codes, by that definition, makes him a super weapon.
He's not in charge, dude. Hey, trust me.
They
He's probably carrying around a briefcase that's got a speak and spell in it.
No,
They will not give that guy the nuclear code.
They gave him an actual football. They actually gave him a football and said it's in the football. Don't worry, we'll tell you how to use it when the time comes. And he's you know, he's happy.
Look, as long as he gets his insured daily.
That dude forgot he was elected.
Yeah, as long as he has his insured, we'll be fine.
Every morning when he wakes up, they gotta reassure him that, yeah, you're president. Remember? Oh, I'm president. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Hey, look. You know, we've got that.
But think about it. No, but that's a great thing. What if he wins the election? You know, Harris is going to be the next fucking president.
Oh, dude,
he's not going to survive another term. So
they'll get rid of her before she becomes president, or she might hold out until the election. Then they'll make damn sure that she's not the candidate.
I don't know, man. No one said anything different yet.
She polled less than 1% in when she ran.
It won't matter because
it does because they have to retain at least a minority of their base so that they can keep moving forward. If they completely piss off their base with idiots like they have the last 3 years, you know.
Okay. Let's move off from the political aspect.
Yeah. No, but it's being used as a weapon, though, using the politics.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what we had.
That's not a super.
No, that's not really a
weapon. How about this?
It could qualify as a doomsday weapon, though.
It could. So
if you were China,
technicalities are gay.
What if they found a way to shift the orbit of the moon slightly, bring it a little bit closer to the Earth, and cause catastrophic tidal effects?
I have a better idea. Barbarian. What if you made a cannon that shoots out Joe Biden?
How was that a doomsday?
Exactly.
If you got hit with that thing grappling you and sniffing you,
that's like a piñata gun. I mean, that would be a happy occasion.
All I can think is that look, all they do is replace them with the best technology robots we can get nowadays, and you can tell that he keeps shorting out. So you know they just keep shooting him out until they get one that works.
I mean, we're already in the Matrix, and the Matrix is all glitching like crazy anyway right now.
I
right?
know. Yeah, you know what? It's like
Shit.
I was all against the simulation, and then I just looked at stuff and I said, when Reality Winner was put
Oh,
in
man.
jail, and I went, someone named their child Reality Winner, and they gave that person a security clearance. I said, at this point, God's just screwing with us. He's just given up and said, look, I'm not, this is the stuff that I
He's
used to
drunk, and he's just pushing shit around like.
If we're not careful, he's going to make another platypus.
Hey. Do any of you ever remember playing what was it, XCOM or anything?
Yeah.
Do you remember after you got bored and you just try to figure out names, you just like look up things randomly? It's like Kaiser Soze in playing with a video game. That's what we're in. It's actually, did any of you guys play Sim Earth?
Play what?
What?
Sim Earth.
Sim Earth.
Sim Earth.
Sim
Yeah.
Earth.
I played Sim, and then I went straight to Civ.
Okay, so Sim Earth, if you watched it at a certain point, you could alter it and see how things are supposed to develop. And I had I was playing at a kid who I was watching, and he said, "Oh, I got robots one time." I'm like, "What do you mean you got robots?" And what would happen is if you did a certain, if you had a certain technology and you bombed it full of nuclear weapons or something, robots evolved instead of normal animals. So so that's where we get our Matrix stuff anyway. That's where we're all being turned into a giant bomb. Oh, speaking of which, we're going to talk about this. What about something that actually blinds everyone?
Wasn't that like the birdcage or something?
It was.
Not kind. I mean, it forced everybody to blind themselves.
Yeah, but if you got something super bright suddenly where people just went blind, at that point you don't kill anyone, but now you can just take over without really having anyone
Oh yeah, I
fight
have a
back.
super weapon.
Or some kind of a weird virus that destroys the rods and cones in your eyeballs.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
Like
I mean,
like,
you
like,
could just
like
do
a
that with
movie
those
like
charts.
that, like with Jason Momoa. He was like, the world's been blind for 10 years, and they've I'm like, whatever.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard
Never
about
heard
it.
of it?
And actually, I heard it was decent. I haven't watched it. You're talking about C?
I don't know. I'm not sure what it's called, but yeah, it's like all the adults are blind, but the kids that are being born now aren't. And
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that was like 4 or 5 years ago that movie came out.
It's called C. It's a series. There's like 3 seasons of it.
Really?
On Apple TV. Yeah.
Who watches all that shit?
Kids.
My well, to be fair, one of my coworkers who been trying to play game, get a role playing game with, but his wife won't let him have anyone over.
The hell?
This is the problem when you're a grandfather and the first grandchild and everything else. I don't know.
Weird.
My charger was plugged out this whole time.
So there's that. But no, I mean you can get that one. What are some of the other stranger weapons? I still like the good old, Robotech, I guess Starblaze, where they have the giant gun that shoots,
The wave motion gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Jackie, didn't you have one? You wanted to
What?
mention?
Did I have what?
I thought I thought you were waiting for your turn because you had an idea.
What was the question I was reading?
A super weapon. Did you have one in mind?
I have multiple of them.
Okay, we'll share with the rest of the class.
Okay, I have
You
that.
brought enough for everybody, right?
Yes. I have that aforementioned light thing. It's the exact details of how it works aren't important, and I never really worked those out. It was more of a minor thing, but yeah, it's just not really necessarily a bomb, but a device that produces a light equivalent to that of a quasar, which is a thing that involves black holes and stars, black holes eating stars and the light produced, and that would completely destroy an entire solar system, sector of space, and blind everyone in it in an instant. And the purpose behind it was for this ancient deity to go in and force everyone to worship it and blind them and stuff.
Well, I mean, go ahead.
You would
Yeah.
think a deity that could do that at that level wouldn't give a shit about people worshiping it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
Is it
that's the entire purpose of its existence.
How is to be worshipped?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Why does God need a starship?
Good
Well,
question.
when it comes to things like that, I've always ran it to where prayer and worship actually creates a particular type of energy that they feed off of, or they're
It's not
powered by.
it's not that. It's just that this entity, calling it a deity or a god, is inaccurate. It's just that this creature, its entire existence, its entire purpose is to subjugate intelligent life and
Sounds
to
like they got
diminish.
some like
Issues?
self-esteem issues.
Sounds like an episode of one of the early Star
Yeah.
Treks.
Yeah, no kidding,
Yeah.
right?
It's like worship me, look at me, worship me.
Honestly, yeah.
Worship.
Honestly, yeah.
Are you talking
that's
about
probably an
that
accurate
we're having
characterization.
a deity level thought?
Yeah. Shit,
I
it's
don't know,
like
maybe.
watching all these
The thought will
idiots
take
on
over.
TV. It's the same thing. Look at me. I need more people to watch my shit.
My Instagram doesn't
Yeah.
have enough followers.
Elle posed one earlier. I forgot to mention. Getting a large enough amount, you probably have to find like a small moon or something. A large enough amount of iron, and whip it into the star and start the iron collapse.
Oh yeah.
Just force it like into its supernova stage.
Mhm.
Oh
That's,
yeah.
that's the end stage. That's the death of a star when it starts breaking down the carbon into iron, and it happens like within just like a couple of seconds. Everything just becomes iron in the star, and it collapses on itself, and then it explodes outward. It's actually kind of ingenious.
There's a like a video out there talking about like the death of the universe, where it's like bazillion, quadrillion, it's like, but it shows like the breakdown of everything and everything. The
Wait, who made this video?
Yeah, like a trillion years from now or something. There's a number of them out there.
Trillions of years. Yeah, but basically it says the universe dies when there is no deviation. The universe is at the exact same across the universe. There's no variation of anything. Temperature, light, whatever. It's all just the same. It's all equal. That's the death of the universe, because there's no variety. There's no difference. It's all the same everywhere. There's nothing.
And then what would be the result?
Nothing. It's just everything is at zero. Basically, everything's at zero. There's no variation.
Okay. I would think that would be almost something that can cause like the equivalent of a reversal Big Bang because of
why? There's nothing in the universe to create anything like that.
Well, no,
There's
of
no
the same
matter.
polarity of
There's
Well,
gravity or
isn't that
something.
isn't the whole thing that from what I heard is that all of like the stars, they'd all be blown up, and the only things that would exist would be these like big metal balls that
Right.
No, but
used
that
to
but
be
they're-
stars.
and they talk about that. They talk about what's left of all of the black holes in the universe. That shit breaks down after bazillions of trillions, gazillions of years.
And what would
Your
happen?
molecules break
Imagine
Okay,
this,
let's
right?
say like two of those big balls, they hit each other. Then what?
They don't. Everything has become. It's either not touching or it's completely broken down to its minimum energy level.
Before it breaks down, there's still those bazillions of years chance for something to happen.
Well,
that's
no,
what he's.
and there is things do happen, but I mean, nothing lasts forever. Everything dies, everything corrodes, everything decomposes.
Okay.
Think for yourself. I'm
I'm
immortal.
going to say this much: if you want to blow up a whole bunch of physicists, if you want physicists to watch their heads explode, just tell them that C is not a constant.
Like what?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I knew a couple of physicists, and I said, "Why isn't the speed of light variable?" And they're like, "Ah, yeah, yeah."
Cannot talk to you ever again.
Yeah, that's
they're,
kind of how they
they're
work.
too busy having conniption fits over the collapsing of the Big Bang Theory. Anyway, it's the James Webb Telescope is throwing a couple of monkey wrenches into their works.
So,
That's it.
so
I didn't.
They basically are going to have to go back to the drawing board because the math is now really, really wrong. Inflation theory is probably not a thing, which means that the death of the universe has completely changed, and the universe is much older than what their math says it can be because they found, I guess, 6 of the oldest galaxies that the James Webb has found are only a few 100 million years older than what they predicted was the beginning of the Big Bang, and those super old redshifted galaxies already have supermassive black holes in them, which can't happen in that amount of time, which means that they predate the Big Bang, which means the Big Bang is wrong.
there's so many things
It's
that
all
are
up in the
wrong.
air now.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
There's so many things wrong, and I had a physicist, Professor Lilly, tell me. He said the difference between a theoretical physicist and an experimental physicist is an experimental physicist, every time they found something new, is like, this is super cool. And the theoretical physicists are like, no, it can't be. It can't be. It can't be. Well, I mean, how many years did they waste on string theory just to find out it was crap? I mean, it's,
But yeah, think about that. Yeah, it's like they put so much time and effort in it for it not to be real. It's like it's probably a hard, bitter pill to swallow.
I'm honestly starting to think that a lot of science and stuff really won't lead anywhere for such a long time. It's just impossible to know some of those fundamental truths.
Well, it leads
now.
it leads someplace if you think about it in Holmesian terms, you know.
I mean, yeah,
the more things you can disprove, the closer to the truth you get, and that's kind of what they're doing. But they're not intending to disprove themselves. They think they're on the right path, but then it turns out no, that shit's wrong. So they got to
because aren't they basically at square one again?
yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes
Not
and no.
literally, but
Maybe square two. I mean,
yeah, I was about to say like aren't
let's
they,
set them back quite a ways.
Aren't they
Well,
at like square 2 out of 1,000 now?
Well, see, the part of the problem that you have with all this is science is supposed to be is you create a hypothesis that you're supposed to disprove, and instead they've been doing the opposite of trying to prove a hypothesis, and that's the problem we've had with some of the science. Well, that and putting out false data and all the other crap.
I don't know that I
And
would
jumping the gun instead of calling it a hypothesis, they're calling it theories, and then moves up towards laws, and they haven't even proven the hypothesis yet. Oh, that reminds me, the James Webb thing with the blowing apart the Big Bang theory also completely destroys the whole concept of dark matter and dark energy. They said that no longer works. That was just a filler, and it completely doesn't work. So they're back to square one on that. On how the universe is expanding.
Well, and again, it can expand if the speed of light is slowing down. Then it doesn't even have to be expanding; it could actually be contracting. But again, they don't want to talk about that. And what's really funny in certain cases with the speed of light is they accept that at the Big Bang the speed of light was faster, and then it suddenly became a constant. You're like, wait a minute. You know, it had so many holes to begin with. It was like it's a cool idea.
That's actually an awesome thing, not a funny thing. But I get what you're saying.
Well, no, the thing is, science is meant to learn things about the physical world, and God, by definition, exists outside of the physical world. Like this.
No. God exists in both physical and metaphysical.
God can exist and interact in the physical world, but he, in his totality, does not exist.
Yes, he does. He does in both.
By definition, well, yes, by definition, he exists in totality in here. But
what you're saying is that he's not limited to our physical reality. That's what I think you're trying to say.
Yes.
So that and I agree with you on that. But you know, that used to be scientists did it like they said was to discover God, and what they've been doing is trying to use it to disprove God. Even though the most famous atheist out there, which is Richard Dawkins, admits, well, I can't disprove God. Well, then you're not a man of science. Man of science, if you can't disprove something and you can't create a hypothesis.
Richard Dawkins isn't a man of science anyways, because he has admitted that there is literally nothing that could prove God. Even if God spoke to him or whatever, he saw a sign in the stars saying God is real, he wouldn't believe it, because he is more likely to believe that aliens are playing a trick on him than to believe that God exists.
Well, no. But here's the other problem.
And that's what he said.
Yeah. But here's the other part: is he literally said, "I can't disprove God." If you can't disprove something, then it doesn't fall in the realm of science, because science, the very basic of science is to literally say that you have to create something. It's both observational and it's also to say
It's because he believes that he doesn't need to disprove it. He can just come up with another idea that somehow explains it without God, and that's somehow just as valid as disproving it.
Yeah, but you got to remember that's just his opinion. He doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Oh
even,
yeah, I know.
even Dr. Lennox, the famous British mathematician, said that when it comes to God, Dawkins is a moron.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so speaking of which, we're going to talk about Doomsday Weapon. Let's not forget the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, you take that lid off, you're done. Leave the lid off. I think we're all done.
Well, it was
That's
also
it's a pretty lame weapon when you just close your fucking eyes and be shielded from it.
well, yeah, but the biblical
Well,
view
yeah,
on
it
this
wasn't
is
so much that they closed their eyes because they believed.
Okay, so
Their faith was what saved them.
So the enemy believes that this is God, whatever. Okay.
No, they were Nazis,
close
dude.
your
They're
eyes.
all Satan people. You know that.
this is what happens when you go against the Jews. Okay?
That's an easy weapon to defend against.
No. If you actually look, so you're talking about that. No, I'm talking about if you actually look at like the biblical version of it, it almost sounds like a radioactive power source, because it gets captured and then they kind of want to give it back because you're getting all the bad luck from it. Like, here, you take it back.
The blackened skin, things falling off a man, that sort of thing. Might want to get yourself checked out. Yeah.
Like, could you like say scientifically maybe the theorized tablets were actually like some sort of radioactive thing?
I don't know what it is. All I'm saying is that if we're talking about super
get
weapons,
your ass in here. Classes join up a bit, will you?
Exactly. This is the whole point, is because we have we're talking about super weapons. The Ark of the Covenant would probably fall under there. Now, I'm not saying why. I'm just saying that it was definitely.
I've got an Ark of the Covenant, a miniature.
Okay.
It's all painted up, ready to be.
Oh
whatever.
crap! We got to do that at some point.
Yep.
There is an Indiana Jones RPG. I've seen it once.
I had it once. I had it once.
I actually have the Indiana Jones miniature, but that's
awful
it.
book.
Yeah, I heard it was not very good.
It was not.
But you know what? I'm reading off subject just for a minute. I'm reading the original version of Top Secret, and I'm pretty certain. I'm almost 95% certain that game is unplayable today by anybody other than people who are in their 20s and 30s and up in the 80s. Okay,
that's not what they meant, El.
It is so dated, so freaking dated.
That would be fun, in my opinion.
I'm going to bring this up is how come all these games that people say are unplayable, as a child I was able to play with them? I'm not saying I played it
because
right.
it was in the 80s. It was set, it was cutting edge in the 80s. When Top Secret came out, it was cutting edge. These people did their homework, knew the stuff, but let's face it, 40 plus years have gone by and spycraft has changed completely. You know what I mean? You'd have to literally buy the rules, play it in the 80s or earlier.
Yeah, but that's the fun times to play it.
I know. We really need to actually make a video game called 1980s. It's just whatever, but it's in the 80s. That's it. Just this time period.
They do a Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, man.
Okay,
That's
okay.
Like 80s as you can get.
Speaking of which, I was so disappointed in you today, Brian.
What I do?
I was watching that video and I'm like, wow, check this cool ass cartoon out. What is this new art shit? This is awesome. And it turned out to be a fucking video game.
Those robot chicks?
No, that gangster thing.
Oh yeah, that game. Yeah.
I'm watching the beginning thinking this is a cool ass. This is like some SCP shit. This is gonna be awesome. And then you start playing a video game.
Dude, it's an awesome video game, man. It's a lot.
I'm sure it is, but I was getting ready for like some animated movie or something.
Yeah, when you play
which
it,
game
it's
is
like
it?
you're playing a movie, dude. It's really fun.
Which game is it?
Guns, Gore, and Cannoli.
Oh, okay.
It's really good.
Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to watch that, and then you put out part 2. I'm like, crap. I had a very
I did that a while back.
Let's
But
see.
yeah, it's a really fun game.
It's 60% off for $4.
Yeah, it's like you can get it really fucking cheap. I think it's on what's Twitch or no.
Well, it's on.
Is it on Steam?
It's on Steam for $4.
Steam. That's it. Steam.
So $4 you can get, and if you want the big bundle, it's $8.38.
Ooh, such a deal.
Well, some of these things is like this. Is what gets me is people like like the guy at work. He's like, "Why aren't you playing all these games? You need to buy this." I said, "I don't buy any game unless it's." He said, "Unless it's like 50. Well, unless it's under $20." And he's like,
Yeah.
"So you want to wait 5 years to play a game?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm
Yeah.
want to wait that long for." I said, "Because I'm a cheap bastard."
Well, also, with like I didn't buy Skyrim until the new one came out, right? Like ESO or whatever, because I'm like, whatever you're gonna get, the very last one, they have all the the additions and all the corrections and all that shit. So that's what I always do.
I played Elder Scrolls Online, and it was a lot of fun. But as soon as I missed a payment for my monthly online ability to play it, I could still play it, but all the cool stuff I unlocked and opened up locked back down again. I'm like,
Mel is a fanatic at that, dude. She plays that constantly.
I'm like, wait a minute. So you're telling me I'm basically being blackmailed? If I want to play this game, I got to keep paying. Otherwise, I can't go do or hang out or use any of the cool stuff that I earned in the pay-to-play version. I only get the cheap, free version now, even though I've been playing for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Or as Jackie would put it, I was falling asleep with the controller in my hand for 2 years.
That's me.
Hey. You were not falling asleep. You were just resting your eyes.
Resting my eyes.
Yeah, I rested my eyes at 6 a.m. in the morning with my character, freaking dead or whatever the
run around circles.
Okay, usually I bought the bundle. I'm downloading it.
Yeah, it's good. It's a really fun game. I think you'll have a lot. It's real funny.
Okay, thanks, Al.
Oh,
I'm not going back to it. I did almost everything up to the point, when the dragons came out, and I did all that, and I it was just getting kind of boring. The only thing I was doing was going to those mass events where everybody would just pile on whatever spawned, and I'm just like, this is boring, and I haven't played. The only video game I played all this year was Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Still the best game I've ever played when it came to a role-playing game. But Jackie wants me to play Red Dead and
Red Dead. Oh, dude, you got to play Red Dead Redemption.
I know.
That's what I've been saying.
Undead Nightmare too. That's awesome.
Okay, so Red Dead Redemption. Let's see how much.
Sadly,
is it
we
on,
do not have Undead Nightmare, but I.
Yeah, that's like it's the Old West, but there's zombies. Like the horses of the apocalypse are out there. There's Yeti.
Really?
Yeah, it's great. Demons.
How have you not told me about this, Jackson?
Oh, because we don't have it. I wish we had it.
Okay.
But
All right. So right now,
I'm pretty sure it's
you
really
can buy it
expensive
on
to get it
Steam for like $20 for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I haven't played the second one.
Oh, the second one.
We've got both of them, don't we?
To me, I've played both. To me, the second one seems like there's not a lot. There's not a. The second one just seems like just an upgrade of the first.
Okay.
Just the first one's really good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that as a good thing.
Yeah, the story's great. The game controls are awesome. I mean, it's a great game, dude.
Like,
it's all Old West.
I have very few complaints.
It sounds like Shadows of
either
Brimstone.
those games.
It is. Well, the only thing that my friend has complained about
the base game. The base game is not like Shadows. It's just regular Cowboy.
It's
There's
just
no
normal
or anything.
No, the other one you're talking about.
Is. Yeah.
Oh, Undead Nightmare is a non-canon DLC that's just fun. At least from what I've heard.
Yeah, it's real. I've got it. I've got the physical copy of it.
Cool. Yeah,
well, that reminds me of one of the last Doomsday weapons, the good old fashioned EMP or anything else that would just scramble your technology and drop you back down to previous tech levels or worse, Stone Age kind of thing. The people might be still around, but chances are they're
We lose all our levels.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, half the population would
draining.
die without the internet, right? Very few people would be able to survive without electricity right now. If all
So-
electricity was just gone.
So the U.S. government, and again, they tend to exaggerate stuff to get money, said 9% of the population of the United States would be dead within 1 year if an EMP took out the entire electrical grid.
Wow.
And I've read that when it was like from 2008. I mean, it's not.
I mean, could the United States feed its own just by itself? And I mean, like, you're gonna have to, like, farmers are gonna have to like
The
not have their own farm. The government would have to take it all over to
Well,
feed
the
that
government couldn't
kind
take
of
it
shit.
over.
the United States can feed itself, and Mexico and Canada and probably a few other nations.
Here's the problem that you have. The U.S. government couldn't maintain control. Number one. Number two is none of your gasoline would work initially because your
Nor
pumps
would your
were running
water.
off of electricity. Half of your cars with computer chips wouldn't work. That's part of the problem that you have with it. It's not that we can't feed ourselves. The problem is that we've become so reliant on computers and stuff that are not shielded, which this is what pissed me off about the FCC, which said you're not allowed to shield them. That's the real problem that you would get, is there's that aspect. And then the other problem, of course, is how many people are actually farming. And then you have to get the ability to transport. We can't transport if you don't have your
Fuel pumps.
if your fuel pumps aren't working. Now, I'm not saying that you can't get some of the things.
Well, we'd
but
have to go back like 130 years in technology. We'd have to, we'd have to start hooking up our oxes and our horses and our donkeys and, rebuilding wagons, and it would take a long time and it'd be on a much smaller scale.
So here's the other thing that you have to look at is look at what happened a few years ago. Oh, I know we talked a little bit about this, but look what happened when they had that hacker attack on the pipeline on the eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shut it down for like what, 3 days, 4 days, screwed them up for a couple of weeks.
And they paid it, but what was the excuse?
They paid the ransom.
It's because
Did they really?
Yeah, they paid the ransom because guess what they said? We don't have any operators that know how to manually operate it anymore. It's not that it can't be manually operated. They don't have the people that know how to anymore.
You think there'd be you think there'd be a dusty binder on the top of some supervisor's bookshelf that teach you how to do all that shit?
Well, here's the problem: is they fired the people that knew. Well, those people retired. Is really they retired the people that knew how to manually operate it under the assumption that that's going to work. There's when I was in FERC, I used to they talk about some things of even the basic stuff, and this is the problem I have with the United States doing certain things, is that they're allowing more and more stuff to be automated, which makes us much more vulnerable at the point that people can't even get out to the site in time. That's some of it comes down to, well, we're just going to put an operator. Okay, how long would it take you to physically get a person out there? 5 to 6 hours. So you're telling me that you can't open the gates, which he could do before manually because you just want to put everything on the electronic. And I saw one time, which there was a gate under what is it? Public, is it a PLC? The logic circuit basically, and apparently did something weird, and one of the gates opened up. There's some weird stuff that goes on, and we're going, yep. And to be fair, when I worked for the Army Corps, we manually would open and close stuff. Well, that's fine, but what was it when you talk about transformers? They're talking about, I think that we only have a certain small number of transformers in the United States. If the transformers blow out, it could take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to replace enough of the transformers. And then the question is, who's going to be building these things?
Yeah, that's if we can get them from China.
Well, no. I mean,
And how are you going to transport the transformers to the new locations without electricity?
Well, we'll get them from the Chinese because they'll be on the West Coast by then invading. I'm
they
sure
don't even
they'll
have to
barter.
invade. Why would they invade? They'll just leave
why
us
would they
alone.
invade?
See, the whole
Yeah,
idea that
there's no
Chinese
reason
are trying to
to.
invade everyone. It's like, look, they're just like, ugh, why would we want to deal with the United States? That's just
Because we have a ton of resources, like our arable land, among other things.
but the thing is
They
that
don't
they would
even
have
need it,
to
though.
like
They'd wait for a bunch of us to die, and then they would come in and take over.
Yep.
They wouldn't have to do
That would be
They could just
something.
ignore us.
If they did invade, they just kill us all because they don't want to have to feed us and their own people. You know what I mean?
Which leads me to the last of the super weapons, the Doomsday devices, is the biological weapons. The scariest of them all, I think, for most of us.
The most realistic too, the most easily achievable, super weapons or biological stuff.
Yeah, whether it's engineered or it's anthrax or something found in nature, but just spread out there. Look how the entire world reacted, recently to something similar. And
can you not say it?
Say what?
The Kung Flu.
The Kung Flu. Sure, I can say it. I've got the song saved for posterity.
Okay. I just because you don't ever say the actual word. I'm
no,
just
because one episode we got the episode taken down because of talking about it, and mind you, that was a few months ago, and a lot of things have changed. But I'd rather just not get on their radar.
Gotcha.
But
so you gotta call it other things like the pokey poke flu and stuff like that.
You don't have to say any of that because it doesn't even have to be, because that's just a minor disease. If you look at the stuff that they have, is why do we still have smallpox?
Yeah.
Right, and polio, and Ebola. There's probably scarier things, all over the place in different,
oh yeah, I'm sure Wuhan's got a whole bunch of shit waiting for us.
Well, no, we're funding Wuhan. So that's what gets me. Is we funded that crap.
Yeah.
There's probably there's probably things Raven was talking about. If we were to drill into the Antarctic ice core down there's probably things down there that we do not want to see.
There's a movie,
dinosaur sniffles or whatever.
Exactly like that. It's like they're drilling up in Alaska. There's a team of
wasn't that a TV show?
Yeah, that was an X-Files episode.
No, there's another one besides X-Files.
There's a movie out there, but what happens is they're drilling down in this and the permafrost is starting to thaw out and shit, and they drill down and they release some sort of like Native American kind of like Wendigo or whatever spirits, and they're like, look, you fucked up the land, now you're all gone, and like they're emerging out of this. They've been frozen because the permafrost has kept them down. Now that it's soft, they've been able to punch through, and now they're spreading across the world, taking out man. It's pretty good.
I could have sworn there was a TV show.
Fortitude.
That might have been it.
Fortitude is the one where they have it that's what I was watching with one of it. I only saw the first 2 seasons.
There was this TV show I used to watch. I forget the only actor I can remember is that short fella who was in like Game of Thrones. He's really, really short. I'm talking about a dwarf, I suppose.
The midget.
Tyrion
guy.
Tyrion Lannister.
He was in it, and some other folks were in it, and they were all racing against time to fight off this disease or whatever before it was too late, kind of thing. It was really interesting, but I can't remember the name of the show. There used to be a lot of shows like that, Third Wave and War of the Worlds and stuff like that on the Sci-Fi Channel when it was actually the Sci-Fi Channel.
There's a new one out. It's like all the like marine animals have like risen up and attacking humans.
Was it Zoo?
No, it's like Zoo, but I think it's just marine animals. I think it's called Swarm or something like that. Like all the orcas are like attacking any kind of fishing vessels that are in their area. Like whales are doing stuff, and it's supposedly the animals are turning against. I love that shit. That whole like Day of the Animals kind of stuff.
Yeah, Zoo was pretty good, and then it just collapsed.
It got dumb really quick.
Well, no, it just ended, and they never brought it back and never tried to fix it. Dark Matter was another show like that. Freaking love the show.
Oh, Dark Matter was awesome.
And then
Yeah.
season 3.
Yeah, it got close to where that Japanese empire was getting ready to go to war with itself, and then that was it. No more seasons. I'm like, what? No, you can't do
Yeah,
this.
they had that season finale where like some sort of aliens or whatever from some dark dimension just start coming out of these portals or whatever at the very last episode, and then bloop, no more. Like what the frick, you know? It just I was so pissed. I looked and it got canceled. I'm just like, you're kidding. How could you watch that series, get to that last episode, and go, yeah, we're done?
Because it wasn't. Well, that's what Rio's tried doing. Is they try to leave you on a cliffhanger to make it for the next season, and like,
Yep.
well, you never made it far enough. But no, so Fortitude was the one that I remember watching, which has to do with permafrost and some of the disease and things like that coming from like mammoths and stuff. So, but I mean,
if you think about it,
is that the Norwegian movie show season?
It's kind of like that. It's on like on.
Yeah, I have seen that. That's really good, dude. That's really good. They find like a mammoth. It's like a mammoth unfrozen, and like birds started eating it, and then they started spreading it. Yeah, that's a really good show. I have seen that.
And they're supposed to come out with a season 3 eventually, but
when we look back and we see how big everything was, millions of years ago, dragonflies, 3 feet long and junk like that. Just think of the diseases that must have existed back then. And if even one of them came back and somehow cross species to humans or even just cattle or something, or dogs, for heaven forbid, what a phenomenal.
So years ago, when I was going through college, and I don't know if you guys all remember what happened with in England with the hoof and mouth disease.
Oh yeah.
And I was studying how the U.S. would react to it. And at the time, this was about 15 years ago, the U.S. had no good reaction to how they would do it. And the sad thing is that the only reason that they would kill off millions and millions of animals. And while we're talking about all these things, and this is what I think it's kind of interesting, is if you really want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, is they would love to have something like that. So it would cause a complete collapse of the agriculture. But at the time, and I was looking into it again, this was 15 years ago.
Isn't that the mad cow disease? Is that what that ended up calling it?
It's cows and sheep. I think it was mostly sheep, and they had an outbreak in England. And then they had their bioweapons lab, which I'm sorry, it's not their bioweapons lab. What do they call it? It's the in a way, but basically, and this is what people forget about, these level 3 and level 4 bio labs are bioweapons labs because they're doing gain of function like you're talking about. But they were holding one of the diseases, and apparently their filter wasn't working properly, so it went back into the atmosphere again. And then the sheep that were around the facility started getting sick all over again, so they had to close down all of it. It destroyed a lot of the agriculture out there. But at the time I was looking into it, and it would have, let's say that if it got into the feral hog population in the United States, they would have gone into like shutting down, interstate transport and stuff like that, try and take it out. And it has a 99% survival rate, but it would destroy the export market for our meat if it got into the system. And that's when you talk about agricultural terrorism more than other stuff, because it doesn't kill anyone, but it's purely about money in that case. Oh, and speaking of which, while we're talking about this, anyone watch the Rick and Morty where he decides to destroy the whatever empire?
Yes, seen them all.
Where he goes over and he says, well, Grandpa, how do we do it? And he changes the value from 1 to 0, and then people freak out. I mean, what would we do if all of a sudden, what would happen then if all of a sudden you suddenly find out that your all your money is effectively worthless now?
There was a great, I don't know if you guys
might find that out soon.
The Handmaid's Tale. There's a great scene where they show how the country was converted, and there's a point where like it was saying that like because like women are like docile, and they have it's almost like
I've seen it.
Yeah, but anyway, but you remember the part where they're saying like all of a sudden women can't have bank accounts. and they have to have like a brother or a father or their husband take it over or whatever. And it was just like, it was like overnight, they just flip a switch, put all these new laws down, and all of a sudden, you know, half of the population can't have access to their cash or their money. And it's just like, it ain't hard to do when everything's digital, you know, no physical currency anymore. You just push a button. You can't get access to any of your fucking money. But it was an interesting way to see how
see if we're going to digital currencies,
I have to go.
imagine if they shut it all off. Yeah, it's better that they're separate. But see, again, what I said is they got in the wild hog population. Wild hogs don't. They, at least in Texas, they have major problems trying to stop. You know, a lot of the United States is overrun with wild pigs. And then what do? That's where it gets interesting. Yeah, see, that's the problem that we have with a lot of it. And our government is not really prepared for a lot of this. This is why when I hear all them talk about all the stuff overseas, I'm like, why aren't you taking care of stuff here in the United States? Whatever, like EMP. Why in the world why aren't we hardening our systems against EMPs? Why aren't we hardening our system against some of these diseases that go through there? And then what you really find out is they don't care.
They're not wrong.
They don't care. If they did, we would have completely redone our electrical grid like 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost as if they anticipate having to,
Well, it's like when Oma was talking about how the government works. You know, they're fucking crooks. They don't give a shit. You know, they just perpetuate their fucking selves to get those money to keep their jobs. And it's just so like, it's fucking heart-wrenching to hear that like these people supposedly in power are just shit. Self-interest. It's all it's about. It's how
it's the largest Ponzi scheme in history.
Yeah. It's like, where's the integrity? Where the fuck is the integrity in humans? It's just insanity, man.
Well, some of it just comes down to is people don't vote. It's like they don't make themselves informed. They don't.
But a lot of that
don't run.
A lot of that shit isn't elected offices. Those are all fucking like a lot of that stuff's made up by apparatchiks that don't get voted into office. They're just fucking employees. They just get paid.
Well. See, I'm going to say this much: is the majority of people that I've dealt with in government really do care at the lower levels. The problem that you have
that's where they go in.
It's the problem that you have is the ones that get elected, and then they pick the ones up at the top, and they're the ones they're like, oh, we're going to pass this policy, we're going to pass this, we're going to do this, and that's the problem that you have with it, and that's why. But most people don't vote even in their local elections. Just locally, I talked to a guy, and he said, "Oh man, we had a really good election. We had several hundred people vote."
Yeah,
and you're like, wait a minute, this county has 250,000 people in it. Only several hundred voted. And Brian and I know this because I'm bad about it too. Brian, who is your city council member?
I don't know who the fuck any of my city officials are at all. I don't even know who the fucking mayor is, dude.
And you know what's sad is we don't live in a big city. We live in 70,000, 80,000.
I think it kind of started when we were encouraged to not talk politics because it's not polite, but yet it's the most important topic you can come across in your day-to-day life.
That is when our news shifted from local politics to national politics.
It's true. That is true.
And now we don't know who our local politicians are, which is our fault.
It's like why is the president fucking election the most important? It should be our representatives. It should be our congressional representatives and senatorial. It should be that shit, and it should be our state stuff. It shouldn't be the fucking president.
And
he doesn't. He's supposedly not supposed to make laws, but
Well, I'm going to say this much: I don't like going to any meeting where we have a congressional aide listening in on it. Wow. I've had that happen.
Not wrong, HT.
I've had that happen twice in my life, so it's. And I'm like, okay, let's find a way through it. But man, it's but that's what a lot of it comes down to. It's like, okay, and the other part is forming your own communities, which I know that Shadow does on his stuff, and we do form our own community out here, but half jokingly is there's a reason I bought farmland. I bought farmland so I can slowly build stuff up, but it's going to take me 5 to 10 years to get it to the point that I can actually say, hey son, if the world goes to hell, you have something to barter with.
Yeah.
And you know, while I do have farmland, if that farmer's not plowing it, then I'm kind of screwed there. And he does 3,500 acres out there, but I'm trying to get the stuff that he doesn't farm out there. And then my son's mother, she does have animals and stuff, but you know, and I did talk to a guy who was, you know, had worked in DC for years. There is a worry amongst federal government that what do we do if there is a collapse? And no one knows what to do. It's the manage the decline attitude that I just hate about our government. We'll manage the decline. It's okay if we're declining as long as it's controlled. Like, you know, that's why
that's why we got to prepare on a local and familial level as best we can, because they don't know what they're going to do, which is probably going to end up them doing nothing or them not knowing how to respond. You know, they're going to get out their little manual in their little 3-ring binder, flip through it. Well, shit, I can't find a procedure for this. I guess we'll just go on to the next thing and let them figure it out.
Well, I see the government just walking away.
Yeah.
You know, they know where to go. They know what to do. They have the money. They just walk away. They don't give a fuck. They'll just go and do their thing.
Well, they're going to leave us to our devices, and in 50 years, they'll come back and see who's left and try to, you know, govern them again.
Yeah. Well, I think
we're going to be on our own.
Well, I think part of the problem is you're seeing this right now is where they're freaking out, realizing that all of their financial leverage isn't working on the rest of the world like it's supposed to.
Well, no, because it's fiat currency.
Well, no, I understand.
We don't even have money anymore. It's literally just an IOU that looks like a dollar bill.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, but if you look at like what's going on around the world, was the expectation is, hey, we'll put sanctions and this will crush, various governments. And now they're finding out, no, screw you. It doesn't work on us.
Yeah, sanctions don't work if they don't use our money as their reserve currency anymore. Yeah, that's what BRICS is all about. They're getting away from our money, which is getting away from being underneath our thumb. So, like you said, sanctions.
Hey, Raven, welcome to the show.
Here's the middle finger.
Hi,
Raven.
Raven showed. Look at there.
How are ya? Can you even see me?
To be on your best behavior, diver. We got a woman in the room.
Oh, you don't have to behave.
He won't.
Actually, we'll half joke about this. She's at least one woman in the room. I don't know how the rest of you identify as.
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry if I assumed your gender.
Oh, no. Oh God, don't worry about that. That is so crazy. That stuff is so crazy. How did we get here? I ask myself that question every day after I see the news. How did we get here?
I just read an article. One of the big hip magazines just voted for the woman of the year that Bud Light.
Yeah, it's a dude.
Dude, yeah.
Oh, you mean like ESPN?
It pissed me off. I mean, all the women in the world, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think his last name's Devaney.
Yeah, that's it.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, that's it.
That weird little dude. Yeah.
All they've proved is that now, based on their ideology, is that whatever women can do, men can do better, apparently. I mean, that's the sad thing of what. And it was like, no, women are special. But yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, thanks. Well, thanks, Elle. I do appreciate that.
There was a commercial, I think it was Miller Lite, that they were going through the great women in history, and as it pertained to beer.
Uh-huh.
Did anybody see that? And they were saying that if it wasn't for women, especially, I think it was, if I remember right, there was a scene. They were kind of going through stations of scenes from history, and there were a bunch of nuns that were around a big vat stirring the beer.
Uh-oh, we lost Raven. Oh no. Oh, there we go. Okay.
What were you saying?
That if it wasn't for women, there would be no beer. And then they were
drink it.
Good. And then it ended with a picture, a Miller Lite ad with a bunch of ladies laying on the beach in their bikinis, and the person who was narrating this whole commercial picks up that picture and throws it in the trash can because it was too sexist or whatever.
The hell?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Weird.
Yeah, she's psycho.
Right,
You seem, yeah.
you know. Anyway, the whole thing is just, you know, this comes back to Brian's whole idea of, you know, the thought can destroy things. You know,
Yeah.
you know.
It's powerful.
The Federal Reserve acts as a weapon of mass destruction until people stop using it, and then what do they do?
Well, I mean, that's what they're doing with the bit stuff, all the electronic currency. That's why all these governments are banning it, because it's like, well, shit, we're losing the control at that level. But it's not working. It's not really working very well.
No, you have to, you know, it's one of these things like, okay. You know,
but just think if it did. Think of it if it did. It worked. If it worked the way it was meant to work, dude, like it worked to a point where, like, you know, I was buying it and Raven was buying it, and hell, fucking Shadow was buying into it. You know, that's a big.
What was that?
Like the Bitcoins and all that stuff.
No, I don't do that.
No, I know. I'm just saying if it got to the point where it was so reliable and so well, you know, done that we started doing that, that would be like the governments would, of course, start banning it.
Oh, they do that, it's game over. Because they can say, oh, well, see, you went and had a hamburger last week at this restaurant, so your carbon count is such and such, and now you're trying to buy another hamburger, and you're way over your limit. You know, they can cut you off, and well, look at China.
Yep, they're going to tie social credit ratings to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have that in America. Well, what is that thing where if you get a score if you're diverse enough? ESG. The banks won't, the lenders won't deal with you if your ESG is a certain level, or some weird bullshit.
Well, and here's the weird thing is when you look at Disney, and I was telling my son this, which talking about, you know, trying to plant trees, and that's what we're going to, he normally he stays up till midnight, but I've been working him so hard, he's been going to bed at 10 o'clock. But
that's good parenting right there.
Well, he does it on his own. I said, hey, go to bed. But because I can get him up at 8, he needs like 10 to 11 hours of sleep. So, I mean, he's a good kid. He works really hard.
Sounds like a lucky kid. Jesus, that sounds like heaven.
Oh, I wish I could get like 6 straight. No, we worked 6 hours yesterday. We worked 4 hours today. We're in probably maybe a little bit longer than 4. We're going to do the same thing tomorrow. But yeah, we're going to... But yeah, you're right. With the social credit system, that's what we're talking about. And it's like, look, if you look at like Bob Eisner, and we can talk about everything else, but I'm just mentioning the ESG stuff. Bob Eisner is freaking out. He's like, no, we have to follow the ESG stuff. And I went, if you didn't get yourself so far in debt, who the hell cares? Because if you're not making money, then it doesn't matter if people, just like Vice and all these others that are going under, at a certain point, you still have to turn a profit. And if you're not turning a profit, it doesn't matter if your stock price is going up. It's going to tank, and then you have nothing left. And that's what I was telling my son. Is I said, you know, he didn't grow up with Star Wars. I tried getting him to in a little bit for Star Wars, and he was just like, eh. Same thing with Lord of the Rings, eh. You know, there are a lot of things. But I said, the new stuff, I'm not interested in. He's not interested in it. Why would we ever go to Disney World again? He's never been to Disney World, but I remember having fun at Disney World, though I still think Six Flags is better. But you know, and if that's your big moneymaker, which it is, Disney World was their biggest moneymaker, and it keeps going downhill, and you aren't building the memories and everything else long term, you're dead. It's just like Hasbro doing this whole thing with you know, as much as people, you know, especially in our community with the OGL stuff. That was the one thing that was really uniting both old and new gamers on just how crappy that they were trying to do it. And people, and I'm glad it did wake people up. Big companies aren't your friend. They don't care. They aren't going to take care of you. They're not your community. Stop thinking them as someone that you know has your interest at heart.
Yeah. I think that big firing thing they had this Christmas season. You know,
wasn't that awesome? 11,000 people got laid off. Merry Christmas.
Was it 11,000 or 1,100? I'm not sure, but yeah,
I think it was 1,100. But yeah, still, I mean, shit.
But I mean, you know, but at a certain, you don't have to like. I mean, but it's true. If your company is doing well and it's you know it has good things, but what are they going to do? Same thing with Disney. Disney fired what, 9,000 employees or something?
Yeah.
Or something horrendously high.
Well, but, they at midnight on January 1st they lose the
yes, you have to play
copyright
Steamboat
of-
Willie. Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse style. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's just
Yeah,
Steamboat
you're right. It
Willie
was
itself.
1,100. Meta slashed 11,000 jobs. That's what I was thinking.
And what? How much did Disney slash? Disney slashed thousands.
Yeah,
there as well.
my daughter lost her job 2 days ago working.
Oh no!
She's a sub whatever working for Meta.
Was she the one that was on with your wife and?
Yeah, Bree. She works up in Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah,
Says
yeah.
Disney cut 7,000.
Okay. And what makes you think they're going to cut more as this goes on?
Exactly.
You know,
Oh,
this is
absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
next year they're predicting massive layoffs all across the country and in all industries.
you
It's
know
gonna be
What
bad.
it's well, you know the thing.
What
that
for,
gets me
Mac?
about-
Huh?
You said they're cutting, and Raven asked what for.
Oh, because the economy's turning down. We're heading into a deep recession this next year.
well,
a big
it
one.
is- it's not-
mean-
Warren Buffett sold over 80% of his stocks. 80%.
Oh, shit.
He absolutely panicked Wall Street 2 or 3 weeks ago when he did that.
Oh, no doubt. Okay.
Yeah, he's not a guy that just does shit on a whim.
yeah.
Well, the other part that when you look at it is okay. Let's assume the economy was still good. If Disney's still losing money hand over fist, they have to lay people off. Same thing with Hasbro. If your company is losing money, well, you know, even if you're doing well, as you know, like Elon Musk did, what did he fire? What was it, 20,000 people or something more than that? It's like
It was considerable.
yeah, but the whole point is you have to cut enough people to make yourself profitable. If you're losing money and then no one else is investing, in
Agreed,
you, you're
Al.
done for. So, well, it's been a weird thing.
Well, you mean it's been a dishonest and deceitful thing? They've been lying for over a year. You know, they had to change the definition of recession to be able to keep up with the narrative. Otherwise, we'd be full-fledged in a depression right here, right now.
Well, we had a recession. Well, like the problem is all they care about is they look at the stock price, but the stock price is only being held up by like 50. Sorry, Raven, go ahead.
I saw that on Joe Rogan, where they literally went in and changed the definition of recession.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And like-
that was like 15, 20 years ago they did that.
Well, I mean, are they
No,
doing
no,
that with
no,
their
no, no,
ballots
last
too
year.
now? Like,
Last year.
aren't they trying to change the definition of certain with what I can't remember amendment it was, but like trying to get Trump off of all the ballots and shit.
Oh yeah.
Well, you look at that, and I'm like, I'm going to mention something because people forget about this. It's like, oh, we'll throw him in jail. Tell me where that has ever worked, whether it's Nelson Mandela, Hugo Chavez, Hitler, Lenin. There's a bunch of others that you start looking at just historically where they went, and all it does is increase their popularity because the government isn't addressing people's real issues. You know, like I was arguing with one guy, and he says, well, Trump, blah, blah. I said, Trump's easily beatable. You just have to address the issues that he's doing. And if you don't, you know,
Has he been convicted?
No.
Nope.
Exactly. And all these things. I mean, I'm not a Trump guy, but I'm saying, I mean, I'm a fair guy, and it's like the guy's been accused. He's in trials. He hasn't been convicted of anything. So to say that he's the perpetrator of blah blah.
Not
blah,
only
blah,
that,
blah.
but Congress, refused to even try to prosecute him for it. They did all kinds of things, but not that. The one thing that they wanted the most, they knew they couldn't get because the video he released on Twitter, and Twitter then removed it 7 minutes later, was saved all across the nation in thousands of source places that proves. And now that Elon's in charge of Twitter, he's got a copy of the same video telling everybody to go home, don't do what you're about to do. And it proves that he did the exact opposite of incite violence.
And then, what they found that like the FBI had like moles in the
thousands of FBI agents.
Yeah, egging on the crowd. Egging on the crowd.
Well, it wasn't just
again,
that.
I wasn't there, guys.
They were the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there, and I cannot testify to anything that I didn't fucking see. But I mean, from their own like investigations, they've said that they were
Well, no.
FBI.
What they said is we can't comment when Ted
Oh,
Cruz
okay, that's
specifically
what it
asked.
was.
Ted Cruz specifically asked, "Were there any FBI agents that instigated it?" And the answer was, "We can't give that information."
Investigation. We can't say anything.
Yeah, it's like the answer should be no.
Yeah,
That's what the
exactly.
answer should
Yeah.
be. It's
The
the same
answer
thing.
should be no. Yeah.
Well, the same thing should,
Exactly.
and this is where I was. I hate getting overly play. I'm going to mention something way back. In Milwaukee, and I wish I could find the article. I found it, and then, like I said, things disappear sometimes. But they had the article. They're talking about the ATF opening up a gun store, and then they found a mentally retarded homeless man, and said, "Oh, if you get us some guns, we will pay you so much money." So this mentally retarded man goes out, grabs some guns, and then
Hey, Blue, what's happening?
and then the federal prosecutor charges him for illegally possessing weapons. And like, to me, just like I get mad. Little side note is HR 1525. I posted, and we want to talk about stuff that fight against whatever. HR 1525 said asset forfeiture could only be used if you could prove the person was guilty.
Yep.
That's all it said. And you know what? Everyone just ignored it and wanted to complain about whatever silly thing that's going on politically. I said, there's a bill that you could literally go over and say, hey, they're not allowed to steal property unless they convict you. And they're like, no, we don't care. Like, no, I wrote to my congressman. And this is what aggravates me. My congressman keeps asking me for money. No, that's not what should happen. Do what I asked you to. It's not just
they
him.
get paid enough.
Well, that's where the term policing for profit is coming from.
Oh, it's but
It's alive and well.
That's been a thing for a very long time.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And that's the whole point. Is that?
But they can take your shit, and they'll say, "Well, you can sue us to get it back."
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't committed any crimes. Well, we think that you're gonna have to prove to us that you didn't get whatever, through illegal channels. So
and
go ahead
every
and
American should be calling their congressman and saying specifically, I want to, you need to vote for HR 1520. I think it's HR 1525. At least put it on the docket. At least have them make a vote. And instead, people just got, I don't care. Nothing ever changes. I'm like, yeah, nothing ever changes because none of you call. Boy,
there's such apathy, just total apathy, and people. But by the same token, a lot of people, they're stressed out. They're trying to make ends meet in this economy. They don't have time to sit around on the internet and research stuff, and they just, they're like, whatever. They
just as long as the government keeps the internet on, right? Keeps their cell phones running. Yeah, people are content.
Well, this is
bread and circuses.
Oh,
so they said bread and circuses. Yep.
Well, if we're going to talk about this, if you talked about some about food, but could you imagine if a fungus started taking out major food crops? We would get exactly what has happening in the French Revolution. People can stand a lot until they go hungry. Once they go hungry, then that's it.
What's it? What is the adage? The people are 2 meals away from rebellion or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's 9 meals. I think it's like 9 meals, or it's something like that.
The other one is an army only moves on its stomach.
Yeah, or is it 9 meals from starvation? It's something like that.
So that's the truth, man. Shit.
9 meals from chaos. I think that's what it's called, and that was a movie. Is what they said, but yeah. Others have called it 9 meals from anarchy.
That's something that everybody can get behind. Yeah. It suffers. Everybody suffers from it. It's not, racial. It's not, sex. It's none of that shit. It's everybody has to eat.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So in 1906, Alfred Henry Lewis said there are only 9 meals between mankind and anarchy.
Yeah.
That's what they said. And you know what? That's about right. That's 3 days worth of food. Now, Brian, remember when we had that ice storm?
Oh yeah.
No, I just didn't eat for 2 days because I was like I can't cook anything. I mean, if need be, I had food, I could have eaten raw meat, but I was trying to avoid it. But
You don't have firewood, charcoal, a hibachi, something?
Well,
no.
where are you gonna burn? Where are you gonna burn it? You don't have a fireplace.
Outside.
The grill.
Okay? It's not.
No, you're not
Bonfire?
allowed to have them out here for the most part. So,
What?
That's
You're not
it.
allowed to
You're
have a
not
grill
allowed
in
to
Texas?
but you know what?
You're not allowed to have a barbecue in Texas? What?
You're not allowed to
Dude,
have a barbecue in the apartment complex.
Not in the apartment complex.
That's, yeah.
Oh.
It
It
happens.
depends on where you live. It's not that you can't.
You know,
But-
you listen, man. Texas is not the rough and tough. Single and everybody's independent. Not shit. Dude. It's just like everywhere else, man.
Well, here's the
You go
thing:
out-
homeowners
you take the
associations.
hibachi, you go outside, you cook up a freaking couple of burgers, you eat.
Here's what you
Oh,
do.
Yeah,
Hey, Shadow, you can
but
eat
it's
raw
freezing
meat.
outside with like 10 inches of snow.
Hey, Shadow,
You
Shadow,
make an igloo.
You can eat raw meat.
Call
It's
your
not-
friend Mac and he'll tell you how to do it in the
There you
snow.
go.
But I mean, I'm being honest. Is you can eat raw meat. That's not the issue. I just said I'll just not eat for a couple of days, and I've done that before, just for health reasons. You
They're eating mosquito burgers in Africa now. Did you guys see
Well,
that?
Yeah, burgers, huh?
I thought something was
Yeah.
interesting. I was listening to them talk about, as much as we talk about bugs and stuff, if you actually look historically, a lot of people did eat like locust and a lot of stuff for grubs and things. But
right,
the
but
difference
those
is,
people have actually developed the ability to do so. If you or I were to try to eat mosquito burgers, we'd end up with cancer in about 3 meals.
no, we
Yeah,
wouldn't.
or dead from
No, we
weird
wouldn't.
parasites or disease or
Here's the thing with a lot of us, which comes down to most things. We just wouldn't want to. There's a difference between doing it willingly and being forced. As long as you're not forced to do it, then I don't
Yeah.
care.
If I got to eat a bug because I'm starving, I'm gonna fucking eat a bug.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's not until
You
the
guys
point where I'm starving. You know what I
I'm
mean?
gonna eat the
I'm gonna
neighbor's
eat my
dog
fingernails
first.
first.
Exactly. You
I
eat
might
the
eat your
dog.
neighbor.
You
I'm kidding.
whatever.
I'm kidding, Mac.
I'm not.
I hear
I love you, but I'm gonna be. What was that? South Pole explorer we ate as dogs.
He's like, I'm gonna go out for a.
Oh
walk.
yeah, that was
Might
one of the
be some
first
time.
major expeditions they took down there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I remember that
there was,
story.
yeah, was it Amundsen or the first one actually hit the South Pole? I think literally ate his dogs. I think.
Yeah.
Well, it was one of
Oh.
them.
Yeah,
It's like
there's all kinds of food all around you if you
Yeah.
know where to look.
Yeah,
And
not
it
in
doesn't
Antarctica.
not in
Oh
Antarctica.
no, but I
Well,
I'm
I
pretty
bet there's
sure-
You
penguins.
get too
down
far
there,
away from them penguins and you're screwed.
Yeah.
Seals.
I'm pretty certain I'm never going to be in Antarctica. I'm probably going to be in the United States for the next 50 years.
50.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay.
If it gets cut short, I'll deal with it then. But yeah, I mean, there are all kinds of things out there you can eat that will keep you alive until you can, muster a ragtag group of freedom fighters to go, raid the nearest, hoarder of canned foods.
a lot of it just
Wait,
comes
that's
down
gonna be
to.
me.
What the hell? It's like fucking Shadow's gonna be a damn marauder, He's gonna be fucking Viking.
Hey, after the first
That's
6
not
months,
that's not
to
the
a year-
Christian way, man. Come on now.
The
Yeah,
first
end
6
of the
months to
end
a
of the
year.
world rules change, man.
After
No,
the
they
first
don't.
6 months,
Fair
all
weather
bets-
Christians, huh?
No, after the first 6 months, all bets are off. During
well,
the first 6 months, I'm good. Me and the
I'm
boy
good.
will eat fine.
I'm gonna
After
say this
that-
much is it's not
see.
it's most of it really comes down to learning on what you can eat rather than learning what you want to eat, and that's just a mental thing, which is because I was digging today. We dug
What?
2
No
holes and
microwave
we found
burritos?
tons and tons of
I'll
earthworms.
starve.
Earthworms are completely edible. I
Yeah,
don't
if you
want to
Gritty,
eat them.
down.
kind of gritty.
I don't want to eat them, but they're edible. Like,
This is what you
It-
signed up for, Raven. You could be safe over at the Nathan and the Quantum Show, but no, you chose to be here.
I will say this much: Brian has been trying to lose weight. Brian can,
Oh
he
yeah,
won't
I'm
be
gonna
able to leave
outlive
it
all
with-
you motherfuckers. I got so much
Yeah.
storage.
Earthworms will do it.
You know what? It's coming down there, You know,
See, my plan, Omen, is to take that worm, put it on this funny shaped silver object, and tie a string to it and dip it into the water and see what happens.
There you go. There you
you
go.
know what that sounds nice, but what I look at is that where my property is, I have a dry creek bed. Putting a worm on the end isn't going to do me any good. However, I did see plenty of dead cats on the road.
There you go.
What are those problems, Cal, with eating earthworms?
Cat.
Well, here's the thing: is everyone's talking about diseases. Guess what? Your ancestors somehow survived for thousands of generations eating a lot of this crap. It's a mental thing.
My ancestors hunted bison and reindeer.
Yeah, and they also probably ate worms too.
Hell yeah. Eyeballs.
And fish.
You know,
Eyeballs.
I'll
I'll eat
Brains,
fish before I'm going to
eyeballs.
eat earthworms. And any of you know how much I dislike fish. I'm just saying.
Did anyone see what they had to do on the survival school for the Air Force, where they have to bite the eye? Yeah, it's a,
Take that.
Do I have to bite it? Can't I just swallow it whole?
that's the requirement. Is that
You gotta chew it at least 20 times, and then you can
Hell
swallow.
no. Hell
Yeah.
no.
well,
You know that's
see-
what the
see-
government does. You know the military says that, like, brush your teeth 37 times before you spit or something like that. They probably have a procedure on how to chew up an earthworm. 27 chews before you swallow.
I need a hamster burger. I wouldn't hesitate.
Actually,
They eat
speaking of
hamsters
which,
down in South America.
no, they're guinea pigs. I talked to a lady who was down there, and she actually ate one when she went to Machu
And
Picchu.
then rats are always on the menu in Africa. That's
You know
like,
what? If you, it's. Oh, have you seen how big those rats are? I'm like, hell, they're like
We got
they're
those
bigger than the guinea
nutria
pigs.
down here.
Hey, I saw, what was it, Demolition Man? So
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, rat burger.
I
Yep.
went next to do the rescue.
And what was
I
that show? Creek Stewart did a survival show, and the guys were out in the desert, and they found a rat. They ate the rat, and they said it was freaking delicious. I'm like, okay.
It's
yeah.
well. Here's the thing: is when you suddenly break off that mentality of what I can't eat, you're like you're okay. But yeah, it's not like I want to eat these things. There's a big difference between wants and needs.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. I mean, remember, rats and fleas are what brought the bubonic plague to Europe. So some things are not good.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Well, here, if you want to have a fun one, what
Would you
percentage
see the
of
bot
raccoons
flies
do they
on the
believe
rat?
have rabies?
Oh,
What
Just pop those things out.
no.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You got to
to
make sure it's not foaming at the mouth.
It's like popcorn. You just squeeze that rat and just pop, 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 pop,
Oh, hell no.
I-
No.
again, this whole
This is
idea
why
of,
they say 90% of the people in this country are going to die if the power goes out, because
And you know why? You know why that is, right?
these
Right,
little
Matt?
nuances they just don't know.
You know why they're going to die, right?
Tell me.
Starvation, killing each other.
it's starvation mostly.
Because
What
they
were you
want
yelling,
to.
woman?
Because they will want to.
Okay,
So you're thinking they're just going to cap themselves?
No, they're just gonna, like in Firefly, just find a tree, cross-leg it, and just wait for the end.
here's
Okay,
the
well.
problem I have with the post-apocalyptic world is I just don't like the fashion. Thongs just aren't for me. Okay.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like,
just not-
where do they get all these spikes and all these leather thongs and shit? I mean, there's no cattle around in the desert. They're all fucking dead. And like Road Warrior, how the hell are they driving around? Where
You guys
was
are
the
hilarious.
last time they filled up? You
I
know?
always wondered that too. I
It's
wondered
like,
that
what the
too.
fuck? Yeah, it's like,
I'm wondering how they kept their leather all black and shiny.
man, you could just smell that video.
the gasoline.
Oh my god! You just look at those. I'm like, woo! I can smell them from here.
See.
I'll let you guys in on a secret. If the world comes to an end, my entire family has fatigues and hunting gear, and we will all be in various shades of camouflage. That's our end of the world attire.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that shit doesn't last very long. Those fatigues, man, they wear out pretty quick.
I'm going to say this much. Hey, speaking of which, did you see the where they did the Predator thing with the with putting mud on?
Oh
Yeah.
no, I saw that. I didn't watch it though. Is it good? Did it
Oh,
work?
yes.
Oh,
It worked up
to
the point
defeat the thermal.
it defeated the thermal. The
Yep.
guy was kind of hiding in just some branches and stuff, and they were trying to look at. They could not find. They were like within 20 feet and couldn't see him, and it was only like just slathering him up with that. You know,
Wait,
I'm going to mention this.
he put
This
mud on
Yeah,
himself,
but-
you mean?
Yeah, just completely coat yourself in mud, climb into a bush, and you can defeat infrared, night vision, thermograph, all of it, as long as you don't
Oh,
move.
really?
yeah. It
Yeah,
doesn't
we are.
require a lot. You don't have to have a super thick layer on it. You know,
Oh,
the
wow.
problem that you now that said is like my son and I, which is part of the reason he's asleep now, is we go off into the pool and swim for about 20 or 30 minutes. And
Yeah, well, we got to think of what mud's comprised of. There's probably a lot of metals and things like that in it, you know, that
It's just
Yeah.
cold, wet dirt.
yeah, it's just
It insulates your heat. It reflects it back inward. So
And
it
you
doesn't
can't be
get
seen on night vision. That's awesome. That's good. That's good information to know.
yeah. Well, I mean, is you got to be in some kind of cover though, like in a bush or something. You can't just like be laying out on the ground and covered in mud. They'll see your silhouette.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With night vision. But if you're in a bush and you don't move, you'll blend.
Yeah,
Wow.
they'll break up the image for that. There's that. Hey, I can say this much. My son and I have been digging holes, you know, they're like a cubic yard and a half. You know, we've been going through. We are good on having the shooting out to 300 yards, actually out to 500 yards, but at least to 300 yards, and being behind in a trench. We're good from that aspect. And I'm trying to plant cherry
What
trees.
kind of holes are you digging? I mean, what are you digging holes for?
To plant trees. I've been trying to plant cherry trees.
Okay.
You know,
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if you've seen it. I've got I want to plant. I want to get. We want to fill them up tomorrow with everything, and then we'll probably plant some jujubes and and my pomegranate. That's my plan for right now. Yeah, exactly. Dandelions. You know, James L's mentioning dandelions.
We don't have
Dandelions were
dandelions
brought
in
to the
Australia.
United
It's like a
States.
fucking desert down there.
It's what?
There's no dandelions in Australia. It's like a desert.
But dandelions were actually brought to the United States as food.
Yeah. They're medicinal also. They're really a good plant to have around. Yet
Yeah.
we spend how many hundreds of dollars every year trying to eradicate them from our yards, you know?
why rabbits, L?
Dandelions are the most nutritious plant on this planet, actually.
Really, I've never had a dandelion. I have to admit.
Well,
Walk
and
out
that's the
front and
thing is a
grab
lot of us. This is why I bought stuff for mushrooms and things like that. Is you know, there's tons of stuff out there, man. If I can just get some snakes, you know what? Even scorpions, I can just cut off the end of the scorpion too.
Just make sure you're not pulling that dandelion out, you know, from a septic field, a spray field. You're like,
The roots
It's
are the
not
best
funny.
part of the plant.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a lot of stuff that if we just realize, well, just like a lot of trees are edible. You know, we just don't use it as the problem.
Gotcha, L. Thanks for the info. Never had rabbit.
Rabbit's good. Jackrabbit is kind of gamey, but rabbit, like cottontail, it's really good, especially barbecued.
Okay, so be careful of rabbit because you can starve to death eating rabbit.
Well, you got to get a couple.
No. I mean, there's actual
Yeah.
instances where people starve to death because it doesn't have all the nutrients you need. You
yeah,
have
it's
to- you have
not.
to supplement it.
It's not a red, and it's not like the. Yeah, I've read that where it was one of those documentary or one of those shows where you're naked and afraid or some shit. This guy was just eating rabbits, and he was like, he wasn't getting
Shedding
certain
weight.
nutrients, certain elements or whatever
Minerals.
and minerals, and he was like dying, and they had to send him home.
You have to have
Protein
that.
starvation. That's it.
So
Oh,
this
that's where the
is
prairie dogs come in.
see,
Prairie dog juice.
aren't prairie dogs and armadillos the only two animals besides humans that get leprosy?
Just random shit.
Yeah,
I
that's
live
guess
on
so.
random stuff, you know.
you just sit down and read the Trivia Pursuit cards for fun.
No doubt. He's like, I'm gonna work
Yeah.
this in the conversation some way today.
Someday.
Do it. It's gonna happen.
Hey, you guys all laugh, but do you know the number of people I was when I used to work at Dell? We were sitting there and I talked to some guy. I said, "Yeah, I found out like half my friends have been electrocuted," and he said, "How do you find this out?" And there's a guy right behind him that raises his hand. He says, "I've been electrocuted."
You know what we ought to do, guys? We ought to actually on air play a game of Trivial Pursuit.
Yes,
Oh.
that's a great idea.
That would be fucking awesome.
That would be hilarious. Yes, let's do it.
We need
Oh.
to do that.
I'm gonna be
Seriously.
sick that day. I don't know shit.
That's all
All I
right.
know is
yeah.
RPG, sci-fi,
And when
and
you
fantasy.
answer a
That's
question,
conspiracy.
you got to put your hands up on the screen, like you're not typing any shit. You know,
Oh,
you just
yeah,
like
yeah.
the answer
Yeah.
is.
Wait a
Brian
minute. Wait a minute.
Superstar.
Wait a minute. They do have Trivial Pursuit for Dungeons and Dragons.
Dude. I mean, I wouldn't know the lore of D&D.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's what a lot of us would have. It just simply says that it has it. Yeah.
But we could get like the 80s edition. We can get like the original. I donated all. I had all that stuff. I donated it to the damn library.
Well,
Cal
you could
says
probably
Cards
ask
Against
for it
Humanity.
back. I think that they would give it back to you.
Yeah,
plus
but
the
it's-
price.
I'm
Oh,
not
I
doing
was just
fucking
going to say that the Cards Against Humanity. I was just going to say that would be a funny one to play on air too.
I've never played that one.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? It's
That's
not Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah,
There
they can
there
get
was
pretty
one-
raunchy. We might get
there
kicked
was-
off YouTube.
Yeah, and L, it's not just 5e Trivial Pursuit. It's got a lot of different stuff in there.
We could do
But-
Star Wars and Star Trek, sci-fi. They have all that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
I
got to
would
be
do
a
like-
way to. Jackie plays like Uno and some other games on the PS5, PS4. There's probably a way to play some video games like card and board games like that, but through Discord or something like that. Because it seems to me that some of these games, it would be kind of hard to play without having the physical game in front of each and
Not
every
Trivial
player.
Pursuit, you answer questions. That's all.
Yeah.
Just answer questions. That's it. You're making things difficult. Come on, Shadow. Damn.
Well, the last time I played Trivial Pursuit, there was like a board.
Well, yeah,
And-
but I mean, we don't have to. We just,
We just
Oh,
you answer
yeah.
it right. But there's
Uh,
a score. Whoever gets 20 questions right wins or some shit. Ah, my God.
Well, just pick one person to set up their camera like Bruce does, where it's pointed down at the table and you got the board there and you're moving the pieces around for everybody,
Yeah.
putting the pies in. That way we can keep track of what
Take
we're doing.
care, HD. How
Yes.
about
See ya,
the
diver.
say goodnight to everybody in 4 minutes? But Happy New Year, buddy.
We need to me and Mel did a Me and Mel did a Trivial Pursuit on our channel. You should watch it because I kicked her ass. Mel just brought me something in this shot glass. So I think
Uh-oh.
And you're gonna drink it?
I'm gonna drink it. I trust her. She's my wife.
Okay. Okay. Well, we
Hey,
you know
to
just,
all you
Hey, hey,
new,
hey.
James down in the down under. Happy New Year. May 2024 be profitable, healthy, and joyous to you
Now,
all.
cheers.
The bad face.
Ooh. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Bye,
go to sleep
everybody.
in about half an hour because I have to get my son with me to put in the
Sure,
holes.
honey.
But that's why I said it's 5 years. If I can get
Yes.
those trees up and
Where's
running,
that?
I will be
No,
okay.
I'm not dressed.
5-year plan, huh?
I'm in my robe.
Hey, that was my whole goal. Is if I have to have a plan for something, if they're gonna kick me off my land and throw me into a gulag, then that's different. But I'm gonna try making it through at least past that. And if they put us in the gulag, guys, hopefully we all get in the same place. We can play our role playing game.
Yeah,
you
we'll
know,
play.
as we
We'll
go
just
through.
create the Gulag edition of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I think the plan should be buy enough food and ammo that we won't end up in the gulag.
It won't work there, Mac. We're too. Everyone has this idea that's gonna. You have to get enough of you. If you can't get people to vote, what makes you think you can get them to fight anything? Yeah.
Oh,
You come after their kids, you're going to see a change.
That's true. If you start seeing family, yeah.
Well, this is why
My last name is actually French. I'm a quarter French, quarter Scottish, and half Norwegian. My grandmother's from Norway.
Ah,
So
we have similar ancestry.
Oh, right on.
No, mine are like half Greek, which apparently my mother found out there's a bunch of Italian in there, and part Hawaiian, Portuguese, Dutch.
Man, I want to get like. Have you guys seen Killdozer?
No,
Like,
I've only seen the Dildozer.
The Dildozer. The hell is that?
Did you not watch
Won't ask. Won't ask.
Idiocracy? Did you ever watch Idiocracy?
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
There you go.
That's right. Oh, Brian is from. Oh, yes, The Life of Brian.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that's one of my favorite movies. I love Monty Python.
Just look good for my age.
Good God, I've seen the Holy Grail no less than 20 sometimes. I mean, I've got it memorized.
I found some holy hand grenade STLs I printed up to put on my troops.
Oh,
Hey,
hey,
demons or something.
wait,
Ryan, I actually need something printed, but it might be like a toughie because well we'll talk about it later. It's that time I gotta skedaddle. Raven and I gotta jump over to the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen because he's been on for like an hour and probably.
Hey, put a link on that so I can put a link on the private. Do you have it?
I'll put it. I will put it in Discord because if
Okay.
I leave this screen, I leave the thing, and it's all weird. But thanks everybody for playing along tonight. We did actually stay on topic for 3/4 of the show, which
Wait,
we're
three
getting
quarters
there,
because it wasn't the beginning.
I don't want this to be super hardcore structured. I want you guys to come in and feel free to go off on a tangent for a little bit. This isn't homework. I don't want you guys to feel like you're under any pressure, things like that when you come on and hang out on your Saturday nights. You could be doing just about anything else with your free time. The fact that you chose to come here and hang out with us goofballs and conspiracy nuts and I really appreciate it. Yeah, weirdos. Yeah, definitely. We're all a bunch of weirdos. So I will see you guys tomorrow.
If I don't see you,
Jackie and I are
tomorrow,
doing a little show. We'll be doing our annual awards show tomorrow, and then Jackie and I are going to be appearing on Tenkar's Tavern. I'm not sure what time tomorrow night, but that's kind of a big deal. We were invited. Otherwise, I won't be doing anything live until Monday or Tuesday or something like that. I really don't know, but so I probably won't see most of you, like this. So have a great New Year's Eve. Let's all hope and stay positive for a great 2024. Don't let the freaking negativity get to you. It's all on us.
Get you down.
A lot of people had a crappy 2023. Mine was pretty spectacular in a lot of different ways.
Who had a crappy 2023 minus Hungar and Crafty?
Hey, I'm breathing. I'm ahead of the game.
Exactly. Didn't you hear that Crafty had a stroke?
What?
Crafty Matt Craft?
Yes.
I did not hear that.
He had a stroke. It was a mild stroke. He's out of the hospital now, but he was in there. And
no, I did not hear. I will have to go immediately and send him some well-wishing stuff. No, I love that guy. Even though I don't get to talk to him very often, he's a fun guy. I wish he would make a channel, but I know that'll never happen. Kind of like with you, Omen. Maybe one of these days, though. Maybe, right? Maybe.
Well, you know what? If I could condense everything down, we set up a tripod as we're digging holes. You can hear my son make all of the political jokes and stuff. So
okay, I'd
Make a
watch
porn
that.
channel.
I'd watch that.
it's the
And
reading work.
everybody else.
All right, guys.
Yeah, if you don't have a channel, hurry up and make one. I'm talking to you, Raven. I want to see more of my friends out there
I've
doing
got
their
a
own
channel.
thing.
I just haven't uploaded anything yet. I've been busy. But I'm gonna do it here. Just so maybe I should host a Trivial Pursuit. If Brian
Hell
doesn't-
yeah, I'm there. I'll be on
That's
your
right.
first
Okay.
video.
That's a
No,
good idea
wow.
there, James.
Maybe not.
Sandworm Jim, the reading worm. Okay, that's okay. I don't know about that part, but your show. Call it what you like. Everybody else, yeah, Crafty had a channel. I didn't know that. I'll have to go look for that. But everybody else out there, God, you guys are killing it tonight. I love you guys. I will see you guys real soon. And again, Happy New Year. And Brian,
Happy
you want to
New
take us
Year.
out of here?
Keep it weird.
I thought you were going to give us the whole spiel.
Oh, well, come over to Weird World War II where we like to keep it weird. There you go.
All right. Happy trails,
Good night,
everybody.
all.
Take it easy, everybody.
Mac,
Yeah.
any last words?
Good night.
That'll do. All right, guys.
Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.